episode of Mega May 2022 here for you all today. Games today, we're going to be starting off with Rockman EXE on the Wonder Swan. That's right, the Wonder Swan Color, the console that you may or may not have known about. The cursed console with 2 D-pads, count them. And then we're going to be following that up with Megaman Start Force 3. So, two entries into the series that many people probably have not heard about, but they should be fun either way. But before we get into that, just a quick reminder that if you registered for SGQ 2022 and you have not submitted your vaccine information to the website, tonight is the deadline. So you only have a few hours left. Go over to GamesDoneQuick.com, go over your profile, make sure that you have submitted your vaccine information so that you can attend the event. And of course, Frame Fatales just finished their game and volunteer submissions last night, but they should have more information coming up about the event, GamesDoneQuick.com/FrameFatales, in the next couple weeks if you want to follow that. So definitely stay tuned. But today we have the Existence Project who's going to be running for us. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited for this. And we're joined on commentary by Arathar. How you doing?
Hello. Doing well.
And Fat Kid.
Hello. I used to run this game.
All right, so before we get into this, give us the quick elevator pitch, because I'm sure many people have not seen this game. And, like, well, there's a Mega Man game, but it's different. What can people expect to see?
You're going to see a lot of gameplay similar to the classic style Mega Man, but what they've done is add like a folder building system similar to network transmission, but it's a lot more palatable in my opinion. Jumping, shooting, sliding.
So another one of those, like, mixture between Battle Network and the 2D platformer entries is what you're saying?
Yes. It looks like a standard Mega Man game, but it is under the hood. It's really not. It's really not.
All right. So whenever you're ready, Fat Kid, why don't you give us a countdown?
Sure, starting on 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
I halfway expected that to be starting on 3, and then just no more numbers.
Yeah. I usually say ending on go, but I started at 3 for some reason. Alright, this is Wonder Swan. There's text at the start. You can mash A through it. You've got a charge buster, it does more damage. You probably know all this stuff.
Yep.
There's not much going on in the intro stage. Just all the viruses.
One thing I am looking for is 2 shockwave chips right at the beginning here, so that I can potentially use them on Color Man to save a couple seconds.
Yeah, Color Man is the second boss. It's a cool strat Existence came up with.
See, that floating virus on the last screen is potentially important to the run. They can drop a chip called Invis that would save a few seconds later. I'm not sure the exact time. I've not run the game in a while. But it is a pretty rare drop.
It would save about 4 seconds, but it's around a 1 in 256 drop, I think. So you don't exactly rely on it.
Right.
So how are chips used in this game? Are they consumable, more permanent, built into a deck?
Both. So some chips are consumable, but there's certain chips in fixed positions that are permanent. So they're kind of like hidden items. And then you pick them up and then they're infinite. This game... Oh, here's Fireman. Here's his Buster hat, by the way. If you let go of the Buster during the screen transition, his head becomes a Buster. It lets you just shoot a Buster shot at the start.
Messed up the fight.
It saves a bit of time.
Oh, this is bad. That's okay. I didn't get
the strangest Fireman strike I've ever seen.
Oh.
Alright, we lived. Okay. I guess this is the best time to try to explain the console in the game. Do you mind if I do that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The Wonder Swan Color is what this game is played on. It is a Japanese-only console released by Bandai. If you look at a picture of it, you might get very confused, but for this game, it's pretty straightforward. Just a D-pad, another D-pad, kind of that controls what chips you select, and then a B and an A button. This game runs at 75 FPS because the Wonders One has a 75 Hz screen, which makes certain things in this game kind of difficult because it runs pretty fast on top of having a lot of one-frame tricks.
Right. We're looking for some cannons from these Octo enemies. I don't think I'm going to get any. I missed putting a shockwave in my folder, so going to add that in as soon as I can.
Iratha, do you remember what the land's face in the top right mean?
You can hit up and he'll tell you tips about various parts of the stages. And if you spend, I think, too long on the stage, the connection goes down and you can't talk to him anymore.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's also the one section in Fireman 1 where you lose contact with land completely. I think you also can't change chips when that happens. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, you cannot.
It's a mechanic you don't actually run into even in casual play, to be honest.
Pretty much. His connection goes down if you die a lot as well. I think it eventually goes empty and you can't use chips until you re-enter the stage, but
Yeah, it does.
like, I don't think I've ever run into that even casually, so.
Both of those just sound like mechanics that punish you for making mistakes.
Yeah, which is weird because this game gives you 9 lives every level.
It's quite generous.
You might see why, because dying in this game is probably easier than any other Mega Man game, which is saying a lot, I know.
It is.
Mega Man and Bass exists. But the stage design in this game is just full of instant death things. It's kind of crazy.
It's awful.
Yeah, it's definitely not the hardest Mega Man game, but it's one of the easiest to just die in an instant. Thankfully, most stuff that doesn't instantly kill you isn't that difficult.
There is also a thing when you're trying to chain slides where there's like a frame or two, I think, at the end where you can jump out of the slide instead of doing another slide.
There is a one-frame transition between standing and sliding. So at the end of your slide, if you hit the jump button in that one frame, instead of getting another slide, you'll jump, which is terrifying because you can just jump into spikes at the ceiling and die.
Yeah, it happens. Oh,
Yeah.
right there. I tried to get a slide in on that conveyor belt, and
Oh, yeah, no jump.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good time to explain jumping out of slides in this game.
yes.
So if you're familiar with Mega Man 6, you know you can't jump straight out of a slide, Mega Man 6 Classic. You have to turn around first. This game doesn't quite work like that. You don't have to turn around. You have to let go of the D-pad completely. You can only jump out of a slide if you're not holding any direction, for some reason.
Oh, that sounds
And that can-
terrible.
It can just kill your forward momentum completely.
So what happens is, when you're sliding, you have to let go of the D-pad, jump again and hold it, and then immediately hold right on the D-pad to make jumps.
So you have to like briefly release the D-pad and then start
Yes.
pressing it again.
But you also have to do it like... you have to not do it at the end of your slide either, but you get used to it, but it's pretty awkward. It's at least a little easier than Mega Man 6 to get used to, but it's even more confusing at first, because why is that a thing?
It's so counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you're seeing now also is the first fixed chip we use.
Yes,
It's this doesn't get used up. It's called Burner, and it makes you invincible and lets you dash. And
This is the best thing in the game by far.
Yes,
This makes the game fun.
this chip is why the speedrun is enjoyable. The strat for Pharaoh Man is also to use this attack plus 40, which is just going to save us one hit, which works out to be an entire cycle.
Terra actually came up with this strat, if I remember right.
I think so.
The next stage we got coming up is Bomb Man, and that's the first instance of that frame perfect trick we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You want to explain that?
Okay, so with the burner, we learned this from, I think, the Taz, but
Yeah.
Method originally did? Or was it the Taz that Mothrace did?
I did figure it out when I did my tasks,
Okay.
and it was used much better in the later tasks.
So there is one frame at the very end of the burner animation Yeah, didn't get it. There's one frame in the burner animation at the end where you can jump out of the burner, and that allows you to grab that wide sword there. Normally you have to get air shoes to grab that without dying. But you can grab it and live with this one frame burner jump. Because the game runs at 75 FPS, it's extremely hard to get it. So
75 FPS?
Yes. It is so annoying to do this trick.
It's awful.
This is why 99% of runs die, because nobody used to do this, but then the time got so low that I started doing it, and then I got to run with it, and then I was just like, oh no, what have I done?
So you're saying
No,
it's
you
your
just
fault?
kind of has to. Yeah. It saves 6 seconds in a 13-minute run. You have to go for it, pretty much.
Thanks, fat kid.
No problem. This room sucks too. I hate this room.
That's the worst
Pretty
jump
much
in the game.
the whole
I think.
Bomb Man split is just awful.
Yes. Do you want to explain Bomb Man as well? So?
I don't actually know how Bomb Man works, but basically his AI is random, and one of the things he can do is be invulnerable and heal himself.
Yeah, he's basically cycled based.
One of the other things he can do is run back and forth. And both of those things are terrible and waste a lot of time.
There's a setup in the beginning where you can burn it into him, and this puts you at the right spacing after getting hit once to avoid his bombs that he throws. And then you see him healing. Okay, that was probably the best Bomb Man
Yeah,
ever.
that was the perfect
Honestly,
Bomb Man.
healing is one of the better things he can do.
If he starts walking
Depends.
across the screen, though, there's a good backup for it. Just wait a little bit until he's past you, and then burner, and that hits him like
Yes.
2 to 3 times in one
I
attack.
couldn't figure that out, so my backup was always restart the run.
Oh, yeah, if he runs that way, when he is near the corner, you can double hit him because you hit him while he's moving and then he stops and gets hit again. This
Got you
is
quick,
the other worst stage in the game.
So you just
Okay.
opened a menu and now Mega Man looks different. What was
Yes.
that?
This game has styles. This is Aqua style, and it's the only one you'll see in this run. For some reason, you get Aqua style from Bomb Man. Basically, all it does is make our Buster stronger.
I don't think it
there's
actually
others.
makes it stronger. I think it just, well,
Adds the element to it.
yeah, it has the element of Aqua, which does double damage against fire, but standard Buster doesn't do any extra damage.
The different
there's-
styles also have different HP values and take more or less damage from specific elements. Interesting, the wood style has double HP, so even though it takes double damage from fire, it's the same as if you were just fighting with normal style.
This screw sucks. Randomly, you can just fall through it. So thankfully, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't have collision, and you fall if you land on it a weird
There
angle.
is a trick we know about where you can make that screw go way faster than that.
Yes,
But it's
not
pretty
worth
much
it.
it's pretty much impossible.
If you mash the right D-pad, you can fall off the screw and land back on the screw, which counts as jumping to move it. So if you mash it at the correct rhythm, you will just speed through because you're constantly falling off. Don't do that. It's hard.
Definitely not worth it.
If this run didn't have the wide sword jump, I would totally do it, but not both. Not both.
I mean, one day.
Oh,
No.
God.
This is Sea Guts. We never use it. Hope you enjoyed seeing it. And
Gut's
we're-
property is it does more damage and has less health, I think.
Yeah, oops, damn. The bad thing, though, is that we have that Aqua enemy right at the beginning of this level
God.
here, so it's pretty useless. It doesn't delete that enemy.
Yeah,
and
I
can't
think
really get
Guts
past
would
him.
actually get us killed, potentially,
Yes.
in this stage. Also, the Buster's still not worth using, even with the extra damage. So
Doesn't it take longer to charge too?
it does. Aqua's way
Yeah.
faster, which is preferable for just normal viruses.
This stage probably has the coolest movement in the game. It's the last stage, well, other than the wide sword
Yeah,
jump.
I really like
suppose.
this stage.
Yeah, this stage is very fun, and it's not too difficult. there's instant death everywhere, but I still don't even consider this like top 3 worst.
So this is invis. This is why
Yes.
getting an invis drop earlier would save us a bunch of time, because we get to skip a full cycle on these.
I know I didn't mention the story of this game. That's because it's just complete nonsense. It kind of tries to follow the rough events of the anime, but doesn't at all. And then you just go to a level and lands like, oh, we're here now. Uh-oh, bad things happening. My favorite is he just shows up somewhere randomly. Oof. He's like, oh man, there's a tournament to get a bag. Let's win the bag for my mom.
That's the thing too about conveyor belts and burners, as you just saw there. If you burn her off of a platform or any platform, you're just gonna sink straight down to the bottom.
Yeah. Gravity gets like multiplied when you burn her off. And you just drop like a rock. It's very unfortunate. You always have to jump before burnering on a conveyor belt.
Are you able to cancel the burner early, or are you just committed to the full distance every time
You
you
are
locked in
committed
as
to
soon
the
as
full
you press
distance.
it.
Oh,
You are also invincible while using it, though. So this is hilarious to use. This is the funniest like move I've seen in a video game.
So it's like, it's fast and you're invulnerable, but if you go off a ledge, you're probably going to die.
Yes.
But you have a single frame window to cancel the burner into a jump at the end of it. And you're just using it throughout the entire run. That sounds terrible.
It's so fun.
Yeah, it really is. It's the only redeemable thing about this game.
Yep,
Great
agreed.
Proto Man. Proto Man control a little bit by jumping around, but he was pretty good.
Another weird thing about this game is that oops, I missed the audio cue. Dang. The life bars. Every Mega Man game has a life bar. But this is it. The life bar in this game only looks like a life bar. It's actually HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, the life bar doesn't mean it. It pretty much lies to you.
Yeah, so one time you'll be attacking an enemy and it'll appear to do no damage at all, and then you'll attack him again, it'll just do massive damage seemingly.
The Buster is also strange in this. So there's like the normal Buster, then there's a half charge Buster and a full charge Buster. The half charge does nothing.
What?
Yeah, the half charge does 1 damage, which is exactly the same as no charge.
Yes.
So it's just visually different. That's
Yeah.
it.
For the longest
It even
time, I
has a
thought it
different
did more
sprite,
damage.
Has a different sprite, has like the whole mechanic in.
It has a
does
different
nothing.
sound.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Okay, this is the final boss. This boss is actually really hard without invis because he two-shots you with his giant laser. But if you have invis, you can just stand in front of him and do this. He also has 3 hitboxes for some reason, so you can stand on his knee and directly on top of his head while just swording him, but it doesn't do anything. It just looks funny. And that's the game.
Yeah, that's it.
That's not the whole game, but it's any percent. There is
Yeah.
actually, if you do a second playthrough, there were branching paths at a couple spots, and we did the levels that are the fastest to complete.
I probably should have pointed out in advance for
But-
time, but there was a lot to explain.
There is another set of levels that you can do instead. At least a couple of them are different. It's like 3,
Yeah.
I think, 2 or 3.
There's 3 different levels, which requires a second playthrough, and you also need to do 3 playthroughs to get
And if-
100%.
If you do all of them, you'll get another stage after the life virus, which was the last boss there. And the boss of that stage will be Gospel.
And then you
Also,
unlock
look at these characters we didn't see. That's not just because of the speedrun. These characters aren't in the game. I don't know why they're in the
These are
credits.
these are characters from the anime and the Battle Network games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are, but I'm not like this isn't just a bit. They don't appear in the game.
Yeah,
So
they're
they're not
just
appearing in
present
this
at all.
film?
Some of them
Yes.
are in cutscenes, I think, but not all of them.
Gutsman, Yai, and Glide and Dex are not even in cutscenes. They just don't
Yeah.
appear. This looks nice.
Okay,
though.
well, this was incredible for many different reasons. Thank you so much. Do you have any shoutouts, Existence?
Not really. Just Team BN. If you want to speedrun this game and the other actual Battle Network games that are good, Team BN has a Discord with all the resources you need.
We're always pretty excited to see new runners. So
Yeah.
if you can't find anything or have questions about it, you get answered pretty quick.
All right. Well,
Also, good luck to Time Link next too.
thank you so much for coming on and running this for us. Like you just mentioned, we are going to have TimeLink doing Megaman Start Force 3 after this. So stay tuned. But before we do that, just want to quickly remind everybody that Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. We would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing. And if you missed any of the stuff that we had on tonight, or you heard about a show and you missed it, you can go over to YouTube, youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick, where we have our full VODs from all of our broadcasts. We broadcast here on Hotfix every day of the week. Weekends starting at 1 p.m. Eastern and weekdays starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to take a quick break while we get set up for Star Force 3. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Community Spotlight. We just took a short break after our first run, Rockman EXE on the WonderSwan color. If you missed that, you can check out our VODs over on YouTube, youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. We're moving on to Megaman Start Force 3. This is Black Ace version. It's closer to the other Mega Man Battle Network games, but the perspective is different. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll find out soon. We have shifted one of our commentators. We've got Rish joining us, and TimeLink is going to be running for us today. TimeLink, how you doing?
Hi. Doing pretty well. It's a bit late. I apologize in advance if I sound a little tired because it's 4:30 in the morning right now, but I'll do my best. Thankfully, I'm not alone. I've got my commentators to fall back on, and yeah. Let's play some Star Force 3.
And Rish, why don't you give yourself a quick introduction as well, since you're the other new voice?
Hello, my name is Rish. I am another Star Force 3 runner, and for whatever reason, the only one of the two Team BN members here that is not from Europe. So I'm actually on a reasonable time right here. So looking forward to watching TimeLink run through this. So,
is there anything you feel like should be important to cover before you get started, or should we just let the glory and majesty that is Star Force 3 just hit everybody full on, and we'll explain as we go?
Probably not. I think the only really relevant thing would be explaining the category, but I'm not going to be able to do that myself. I actually don't know the specifics of how the noise Kaizuki affects the speedrun, so I'm going to just let Rish do that as we go into the game.
Yeah, while the tutorial's playing and stuff, I can go about explaining that. So I think we can just go ahead and get started.
Yeah, so get to where you are ready to start the game, and then Fat Kid, why don't you give us a countdown again?
Sure. On go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Fat Kid is the master of countdowns.
Should have switched it. On go. 1, 2, 3, go.
Shut up.
Kept us on our toes.
But anyway, yes. So as we mentioned earlier,
Kaizo man.
Yes, this is any percent no Kaizo gear, which basically is effectively just any percent English version, because Kaizo gear is a Japanese exclusive feature, which if you actually watched Never Before Seen last week with Star Force 2, it's relatively equivalent to wave command codes, but not nearly as powerful in effect. What they do is, there's a lot of different effects. Some of them just give you different abilities that you might know throughout the game, like super armor, etc. Or sometimes you can get powerful folders once you get access to a particular, or towards the transformation of the game, which is about halfway through. So pretty much we're just banning that because you can't even use it on the English version, and so that way it's a fair comparison.
All right, thank you. In the meantime, the science club members have decided to try and launch a rocket on the roof of the school. It's only a miniature version for now, but their attempt has been rudely interrupted by these metenas in the sprinklers, so we've got tutorial business to take care of. There's one thing that's immediately different here from the first two games. Side select is now a thing you can do by default, which is actually really handy because this game adds a bunch of other systems onto the custom screen as like rules, or not even really rules, but just gimmicks that make it a bit harder to select cards sometimes. So this is a really nice convenience.
Yes, side select is super nice. Basically, on the bottom screen, which you guys see in the top left, basically it just lets you select pretty much any chip in the same row, but you can also select chips in the same column. as TimeLink mentioned, there is the added gimmick, which is that you cannot select chips if they are overlapping each other in any capacity. The chip's position on the bottom screen is a little random, and sometimes they overlap one another. And you are forced to use chips in a very particular way until they no longer overlap, essentially. It's a very annoying mechanic. You can choose to use only the chip that is overlapped, or you can use it as a support chip, which changes it to a completely different card or whatever. You won't see too much use of that except to sort of go through the cards that you have access to and actually select more and more.
Yeah. It is honestly... Oh,
I was just going to say, the general idea for it is the stronger a card, like a mega card or a giga card, the larger it is, so more chance to overlap, but that doesn't really come into the speedrun sense. Like, you don't need to consider that too much, you just hope to get lucky.
Oh, so it's supposed to be like a drawback when building your deck.
Thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
it is honestly a mechanic I enjoy. It makes the combat pretty dynamic. There's a lot of options you can take in with pretty much every draw. Eventually, support cards become... Oh, right. More or less useless as we progress through the game, but at the start we're going to see a bunch of them, hopefully.
Casually, even in endgame though, the support cards still are really useful.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives invis and grass stage, those are always good.
Yeah, I really like the concept of support cards, but it just feels the implementation sometimes feels a little annoying because you're essentially randomly... Like the game randomly decides that you can't take certain cards in combination with each other. That's the main drawback.
This probably won't come up too much, but similarly, they added like a program advance. That's the word. They added program advance in this game, pretty much.
Yeah, they're called Galaxy Advances in this game, but basically you select 3 cards in a very particular order, and it will become a more powerful, technically, card. Sometimes it's not actually more powerful, it's just a different thing, but it is what it is.
Is that the same as the other Battle Network games, like, the 3 different swords for life sword kind of deal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Here it gives
that
you a
one,
great
that
axe.
specific one actually does exist just like that in this game.
Yeah, it's sword, wide sword, long sword becomes not life sword in this game, it becomes great axe.
Giant axe.
Giant axe, excuse me. Great axe is the name of a card that has the exact same effect, but it's a single card.
Yep.
Gotta keep these things in check.
Honestly, Galaxy Advances are like a slight downgrade from Program Advances, I would say, because a lot of Galaxy Advances are just giving you a specific mega card in a slightly more powered up version. And there's only like 5 that are actually different. One of those being Giant Axe, and then there's other ones like Hurricane Dance, Platinum Meteor. Interestingly, you can obtain all of those as raw cards as well, if you get really lucky with a specific mechanic later on, but we won't be seeing any of that.
The Galaxy Advance versions have higher damage values though.
Yes, that's the key thing, is because you're combining 3 cards, you're getting more powerful damage out of it.
It's not always worth it, but most of the time it is.
So the other thing I have to ask about is, obviously we have a very different battle perspective in this game. How much does that control, change how you control in battle?
So I can talk about that. I actually personally prefer the Star Force combat, and I like to talk about this a lot because it's more action-oriented. If you're familiar with Battle Network, you have access to a 3x3 grid, right? And the enemies have access to a different 3x3 grid. It's a lot more strategy-oriented, a lot slower paced, I would argue. This game, because you can't really move and dodge a whole lot, you're more reliant on this new mechanic, which is the shield, to actually be able to avoid certain attacks sometimes, because you don't have the ability to always dodge. And you're a lot more reliant on lock-on to target enemies to actually deal your damage and whatnot. So, like I said, it's basically Star Force results in more action-oriented combat. Battle Network is more strategy-oriented, and each of them have their own benefits and drawbacks.
Yeah. The viability of cards has definitely shifted a bit with the new perspective. The grid is just different in general. We had we had 2 3x3 grids in BN, 1 for each side, And then now we have this 1 3x5 grid. If you remember the chip Air Hockey from BN4, it actually kind of has a spiritual successor in Ice Spin in this game, but unfortunately it's not nearly as good simply because of the different battlefield.
That's true, yeah. Because of the way the hockey works, basically, you need to know geometry really well to use that card. It bounces around the entire field in Star Force, whereas it only bounces around a 3x3 grid, which is way more predictable in Battle Network.
We should also mention this game doesn't really have area grab. You can't get more movement options. It has area steal, which brings them closer to you instead.
It's called Area Eater, just to be clear.
That one.
Yeah.
Also, something that TimeLink just did, he put in what is called a white card code, which is very similar to the type of code you would put in for Kaizo Gear, but it is not actually Kaizo Gear. That feature does not exist in the US version. What white cards do is you put in a set code. You have to know this through something and getting some code in real life, and tap on the screen in very specific spots, and it will give you 4 white cards that are just added on to your folder. So you don't have to do anything extra. You just now have the 30 base cards that are in your folder plus 4 new ones. The particular code TimeLink put in gives you 4 very powerful fire cards, which is very important to the strategy we're going to be using throughout the entirety of this run.
All right, as far as what's happening in the story right now, Luna is trying to get elected for student body president, and we're basically going around running errands and hoping to gain the favor of as many people as possible. And right now we're heading back into the science club because they have a special request for us, because their initial rocket launch was kind of shut down, but they say they can build a larger scale rocket and would like us to help with it by acquiring a special item called a Giga Energy Card, which is supposedly really rare and elusive. Luna tries to offer to buy it for money, but she's actually told that it's a really rare item that you'd only really be able to get from a government official. And surprise, surprise, guess who's waiting for us at the school gate? It is just that. There's this random person we don't really know yet. His name is Ace, and he basically says, yo, if you come to this wave battle tournament at Speaker Mall, then, I might just give you a Giga Energy Card. Just like that. So I guess that's what we're gonna do.
That's not suspicious at all.
It's not even a reward. It's just show up to this tournament that's happening, and I will give you this thing, even if you get your butt kicked, basically.
Ace rules, by the way.
Yeah, Ace is great. He shows up just eating a thing of chocolate, basically. It's a phenomenal. I wonder if someone in chat has an emote of it, but anyway.
Oh, Chaotic has one, doesn't he?
One thing I wanted to ask about was in that last battle, it looked like you waited until the enemy was attacking. Are counter hits still a thing in Star Force?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Counter hits are still a thing. They're actually pretty essential to Star Force combat, because whenever you counter hit an enemy with a card that, well, I guess I should first. Whenever you counter hit an enemy, you'll get a random card from your folder. You cannot this doesn't happen if you counter hit an enemy with a card that you got from a counter hit, so you can't infinitely chain it. But especially if you get a bad draw, counter hitting can be really vital to keeping the combat going smoothly in your favor.
Yeah, one of the things that we like to do in this speedrun is before we remove bad battle cards that don't do a lot of damage, we obviously have to remove the ones that can't even hit enemies because they can't get us counter hits at all. We like to keep things like air spread because they are multi-hit and are very likely to get us counter hits as a result. So that's sort of the strategy behind the menuing that goes into this game. On this particular fight, we're looking to draw things that do a lot of damage. We actually have one card on Reg, which is Longsword. It's one of the stronger cards in our base folder, and 180 damage from one of the fire white cards is just enough to actually delete that.
All right. There is one thing we should mention, because this is also a mechanic new to Star Force 3. I actually set Longsword as my default card, that means I'm always going to draw it in battle and always in the top left. That sounds very powerful, especially because, unlike in the Battle Network games, there's no such thing as regular memory that determines whether you can set a card as default or not. You can actually set any standard card in the game as default, which is, like, it's pretty hefty. It can be really overpowered, but just because you defaulted a card, that does not mean it gets saved from being covered up. That kind of balances it out. In that case, I was able to take the longsword, counter it, and do the mad fire. But yeah, even with the default card, we may sometimes have to sacrifice it and use it as a support card, which will probably.
It's also worth noting that since Galaxy Advances aren't so good in this game, it's not as powerful as it would be in BN.
One second. I think we lost your stream.
It did DC for a bit. So.
I mean, I think we lost your stream on Twitch, which means they cannot hear you. Yeah, your internet definitely blipped because your Discord did a thing.
It's looks to be back up.
I think it's coming back.
Green
Yeah.
now.
I still don't see it.
Okay. Alright, okay, where was I? I lost my train of thought.
Hang on,
Right, we got the
start.
Giga Energy
Okay.
card. We just showed up to the tournament and we were so rudely interrupted by that wizard, but we got the Giga Energy card anyway, because like Rick said, it wasn't even really a reward. We hardly even participated in the tournament. We just kind of showed up. We were about to fight Ace, and then we were just sidetracked and we got the card anyway, so now we can attempt to launch the rocket, and I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong here.
No, not in this
What?
series of games. No viruses could ever get involved.
There's nothing that could ever go wrong with a bunch of middle or like elementary school students trying to launch a literal full-scale rocket into space
Well, with a
from the
card,
roof of their school.
with a card handed to us by some stranger who's conveniently there at the right place at the right time. No,
Nah.
He likes Mega Snacks. He's trustworthy. Also, I wanted to say this earlier, but it is pretty funny how there's two Europeans doing this particular game, but was never released in
Oh
Europe.
yeah,
Yep.
that is right.
That is good.
There is no PAL version of Star Force 3. It does not exist.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It was actually, I actually played this game only this year, like earlier this year, with like a huge time delay from the others because I just wasn't able to get my hands on a copy for a decent price. And, oh man, that huge time delay created some interesting theories while I was thinking about what this game could be like.
Alright, so we're about to get into the first dungeon comp of the game, known as Rocket CC, which CC stands for Cybercore, if you were curious. Basically, the mechanic here is magnetism. For some reason, the rocket is magnetically pulling in a lot of things, which is not good. It's like pulling on people's necklaces and stuff and pulling them into a rocket that was trying to be launched into space. So basically, there's these little pop-up spots on the ground. Pop-up appears on the bottom screen. If you tap on it, it switches your polarity. And so there's these different magnets that can pull you across different paths based on the polarity that you're currently in. So with that, there's a very set path that we can take through this, knowing exactly what pop-ups to hit and which ones not to hit in order to get through each of the areas.
That was a very unfortunate fight. So we defaulted Beast Slap instead of Longsword now. It handles most of the encounters here really quickly. The minor problem, I guess, with Beast Slap is it... Unless there's like a specific enemy layout that just has all of them able to move to the front or just already in the front, it kind of requires a bunch of cards to be covered up such that you can use them as support. Because the support for null cards is Area Eater, which you saw me use in the last battle, brings me a bit closer to the enemies, and the thing with Beast Slap is you cannot lock on. So you're locked to the like 3x2 squares in front of you.
Yeah, it runs into the same problem that you often saw with swords in, say, Battle Network, where you're required to... You have the range component to it, which is very unfortunate. But Area Eater does sometimes alleviate that. And like you said, there's a lot of enemies that do like to come to the front, or at the very least move around the area, such that you can actually make use of Beast Slap very well in this comp.
Somebody asked in chat if we'll be refighting the later boss refights for their cards.
No, unfortunately not. This is I mean, there will be. Oh my god, there will be refights because this is a Megaman game and it has to have refights. But we won't specifically be fighting any of them for their cards because this is not 100% run. I actually did the 100% category of this game just last Wednesday. Was a pretty fun run, save for a couple things, but yeah, it is definitely not very marathon friendly outside of maybe something like really, really long-a-thon, because the record now sits at a proud 10 hours, 33 minutes. Would recommend it though if you're interested.
Yeah, the thing with the refights for battle cards is that the mega cards are not very strong at all. They're actually pretty weak until you get to like the third versions of them usually. So just getting the first version is usually not worth it. Not worth the time investment.
Especially because we can get stronger cards through wave mail, cipher mail, cipher code. Okay. But also, even if we weren't getting them, it still wouldn't be worth the time investment.
Yeah, most of the cards in this run we get from fixed sources. There's like pretty much not gonna be any time where I'm really hoping to get like a random card drop from an enemy. There's a couple that would be nice, like say Buzzsaw or Bushido. Things like, you know, non-dimming null cards to raise the noise gauge, which is something we'll get later, but...
You had Giant Axe.
I did see it, yeah. There is also a mechanic later on in the game that we'll talk about that could result in some really, we'll call it wacky drops that could be potentially useful. It's
illegal data is so cool.
Very uncommon to happen, but the fun thing is that you never know what will happen with, as he called it, illegal data. Anyway, you saw us reg grass stage and go into the first boss fight, which is Spade Magnus. He is a Elec-based enemy, which doesn't matter because we're putting down grass panels, which will double the damage of our fire cards, and he's already dead. So
that was a lot of damage.
That guy killed me. That guy killed me in one run.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether I should save. I took a couple hits in the comps, so I figured I might as well. Sometimes you do just get really unlucky and draw none of your white cards. It's happened to me more often than I like to admit, and then I get like a 25-second Spade Magnus fight, but this particular one I seem to have gotten lucky enough to draw 2 of them, so that's good.
Fakid is the only person I've ever seen die to that fight.
Way
incredible.
In my defense, that wasn't all there at that time.
It was a really funny. It was a really funny stream, I will say.
So it looks like we did a rocket launch.
Yes, they were able to successfully, after that whole incident, they evacuated everyone and then proceeded with the rocket launch, and it went off without a hitch after the initial issues. We also just equipped something known as an ability. They are a mechanic unique to Star Force 2 and 3. If you are familiar with Battle Network, think of them almost like a very dry or like much simpler Navicust program, in that the only requirement to equip abilities is a value known as link power, which you just get more and more of as the game progresses because it's based on the strength of your bonds. Haha, friendship.
Yeah, it's basically just friend power. How many friends you got?
That's what the Star Force series is all about.
It's like literally a social score of some kind. We won't go into that, but yeah. So basically, the tutorial for that feature had us equip an ability that gave us 50 extra HP, and that's really all we're going to equip with Link Power is HP and like one other ability.
Yeah.
You did see me pick up 2 HP Mem 10s already. I am going to pick up a couple extra HP Mems. This isn't for... so there's an item we'll be buying later in the game called a Cloaker. If you have high enough base HP, then you can actually just filter out encounters. It works like a repel in Pokemon, pretty much. And we won't be making use of that specific function, but getting Cloakers helps regardless of how much base HP you actually have, which is nice.
Yep. Unfortunately, the HP thresholds in this particular game are like super difficult to actually hit. So, as he said, we won't be going for high HP amounts to be able to fully go through areas. The nice thing is, like I said, if you watched last Thursday, we did a Star Force 2 run on Never Before Seen, and that game had an insanely ridiculous encounter rate. That is not the case in Star Force 3. Star Force 3's encounter rate is much more tame, and you will only ever see 1, maybe 2 encounters per area because the first encounter check is way later in your movement. So that is a very nice feature of this game.
Compare that to Ghostsick getting, I think it was 13 encounters in the Loch Ness dungeon.
Oh my god.
2 areas and he got like 6 encounters per area because of a puzzle he had to do, which had him going all
Which
over
he
the
was
place.
doing the speed run route of, so that was the fastest you could have done it pretty much.
It's, Star Force 3 is so much nicer in that regard because you're just not being constantly bombarded. For example, these 2 areas that Time Link is going through, the first floor hallway and the science club room, he's not even getting encounter checks. No encounter checks happened at all. There's no chance of getting an encounter unless he like spent time running around intentionally to get them.
There is a reason to do that in your 100% category because you do need those encounters, but in any percent, you're trying your best to avoid them.
Yeah, for example, on the roof, he actually just skipped over a few encounter checks, which is really lucky, but overall, like, encounters aren't a huge deal in this particular game. So that's why we won't, like, we'll be seeing use of cloakers, which will explain why when we actually use them, but not for the same reason as you might have seen in Star Force 2 last week.
All right. Does anyone want to explain cipher codes while I do them?
Sure.
Go for it, Fat Kid.
They're kind of like cheat codes. You just input cookies. Why did I say sure? Rish, explain it.
Thank you, Fat Kid. All right. So as he was saying, they are pretty much just codes that you can find either hidden in the game as Easter eggs, or they were, I don't know if Star Forces were specifically handed out in real world situations or whatnot. But pretty much you put in this code and you get a set reward back from it. These cards are usually very powerful. For example, you can get pretty much almost every version 3 mega card in the game except for 1 or 2, excuse me. And you can also get some like powerful third version of virus cards. For example, I actually know all of the things that Time Link is getting. It is Acorn Bomb 3, which will be a defaulted chip very soon. We're getting Mech Flame 3, which you've already seen some use of. It's a fire card that we actually have as well from white cards. We're going to be getting Acid Ace V3, which is a mega card. We're getting Jack Corvus V3, which is a mega card. We're getting Mad Fire 3, I believe is another card. And the last thing we're getting is an ability, which will give us HP plus 500 once we get the link power for that, which is about halfway through the run.
So this is like the equivalent of the lotto codes in the main Battle Network series?
Yes, exactly. Much. Lotto codes. It's equivalent also of Cipher Mail in the first 2 Star Force games. The better thing about this one is that it's not some 3-line, very ridiculous messages that you have to type out, such as L-O-V-E, I love you, Sona, or Sonia, for example. You
get a single piece of that punctuation wrong, accidentally put in a space, or don't hit enter to go into the next line on the right time. You're doing it all over again.
Yep. Oh, you're getting an extra one too. But anyway,
I'm getting 2 extras. I want to quickly mention this. So the first one, an extra I'm getting here, this is not something I usually didn't do in any percent runs, but this card did me very well in the 100% run on Wednesday. And this second one, I don't know this code by heart, but this is a very special card that I'm inputting for a friend of mine. I did a showcase of this game a bit back now at Team BN event, a short category showcase, and she was there cheering me on in the chat, and unfortunately I wasn't able to see the chat that time. And she very politely asked that I get the cipher code for this card, and because I couldn't see her, I unfortunately didn't, but here you go. This is Mutek free. I don't have the highest opinion of this card, but we're getting it.
Neither do I. In fact, I don't know what Mutek 3 does. We're all learning here together.
I know what it does.
What does it do, fat kid?
It's kind of like a worse Vulcan. It just shoots forward and it pierces, but not very well.
It's really slow. It's like braking. It does the gravity effect, which hinders enemies from moving for a bit, but it has a lot of wind up and end lag, and I think it's 210 in version 3.
Its damage is okay, but not by the time you get it, and it's functionally kind of like a worse Vulcan that locks you in place for longer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But I mean, also, our folder isn't particularly, like, super good, so extra things you get from cipher codes isn't that bad, necessarily. So the only real downside is, I was going to mention this earlier, the bad thing about cipher codes is you have a really long cutscene animation in between every single code you have to put in that has no value. It's just flavor text, and it is the most annoying thing.
Dude, let him ride the waves.
Honestly, I do prefer cipher codes with watching that cutscene every time over inputting like 3-line long cipher.
Well, sure, but I would prefer neither.
It's much more pleasant in my opinion.
I was gonna say,
if like every time you type in like a code, he's like, "Whoa, I'm riding the waves, dude."
Gotta love, because the shop is called the Big Wave. It's just like a big surfer shop where you get cards, and it's really funny, but man, that cutscene. I really wish it were like lotto codes, which, if you're familiar with Battle Network, are just very quick. You type it in, 8-digit number, and you get your item and you can go about your day.
Yep.
But anyway, we have powered up our folder. We have regged a card known as Acorn Bomb 3. We will see exactly why, but pretty much it's just a big AoE thing that puts down grass panels. That's going to be really, really strong. We're also grabbing some Zenny, which is important for purchasing cloakers here in a bit.
Sorry, I don't think we explained that, did we? Like, Geo randomly just teleports somewhere else. Yeah. There's invisible, like, teleports in about 5 specific places, where if you walk over a certain spot while, you know, in Mega Man form, you'll teleport to a secret area and grab some extra things. Yep.
There's no way to know where they are unless you have prior knowledge. Or
they're usually in corners, but you just have to run around and experiment. The game never tells you about this, as far as I know, either.
There's one that's particularly bad because it actually blocks an HP mem from you, and that's probably going to be the last one you find if you're playing completely blind.
Is that the one in
National Waza HQ?
Yeah, Waza HQ.
And we
That's
are
what
buying...
the fake HP memory is too.
Buying 2 cloakers right here. These are going to be used for our next 2 dungeon comps to just greatly decrease our encounter rate, and we can actually get very few encounters, especially in the next one coming up.
Yeah, it's cloakers in Star Force 3 have the added benefit that they reduce the rate at which you get encounters after the first check, which is really nice because the fewer encounter checks you're getting, the less encounters overall you're getting, and the further you can make it before that first encounter.
Yeah. It still does have the effect where if you are over the HP threshold requirement, you get no encounters, but if you're below that, it still has that effect, which is really nice.
Yeah. So we're going to be abusing that fact to hopefully get through some of these areas without encounters, or at the very least, reducing it to pretty much we're getting one encounter at most.
All right, does someone want to catch people up on the story and tell them why we're fighting Taurus Fire all of a sudden?
Sure.
Do you remember, Fangin?
Yes. So, during this part, I forget why Taurus Fire comes out, but this is like a callback from Star Force 2 where he gets force-fed by a feeding machine, and then he gets overwhelmed and Taurus Fire comes out, which is a remnant of something that controlled him in the first game. Then they come out again here because...
Jack, the random character that we don't know, throws a noise card at him, which causes Taurus Fire to appear and go run amok.
Yeah, pretty much. In general, we've been invited to this place by Sonia. This is WBG Studios. Sonia's holding a concert here, and she invited us over, which is much to the dismay of, well, not... There's a new actor, basically, and she's all fine with Sonia, but her wizard, Ice, definitely isn't. She's really envious because, especially in this situation where we fought Taurus Fire, they basically hired us as the new guest star instead of Belle, which is the new actor in town. And yeah, she gets really jealous, and then these two people approach her, unknowns to us, and offer her great powers in exchange for basically making her run wild, and she does voluntarily accept the offer, and now things are running mayhem again.
If you can't figure out from the name of her wizard, Belle's wizard is like her manager, it's named Ice. There's totally not going to be things frozen very shortly. But anyway, it just reminded me that, like, yeah, we just show up on set for like this show that our friend Sonia is a part of, and like no one knows that we're Mega Man, but because we had to save the day, Mega Man shows, like, we become Mega Man and show up, and so they're just like, oh my god, we need to get him to guest star instead.
Yeah, we quite literally stole the show.
Because it's the third game, like, many people know who Mega Man is, and it's starting to get pretty suspicious that wherever Geo goes, it's just like, oh, he shows up for some reason.
I was about to ask about that, because I was like, isn't the whole Mega Man thing supposed to be a secret? But he literally transformed in front of a camera.
Okay, so it's a secret. It's a secret to everyone but his, like, close friends, like the people that are brother bands with him, even his mom. But yeah, you can just transform anywhere for convenience. In the old games, you had to run to somewhere like secluded.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Spot.
That's a really nice convenience change. It's really fast to pulse into.
Transport anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, so like
story-wise,
you're still hiding it.
Yeah.
Okay. Story-wise, you're like, okay, so supposedly you're supposed to like yell out loud whenever you transform. You're like, say something like transcode Mega Man or something like that. But like in reality, he's probably just like whispering it really quietly, and no one's paying attention to this random like 11-year-old kid.
Don't pay attention to me, Eva.
I think you forgot to talk to the dog.
Oops.
Yeah.
It's
go on.
I think that's a really fun little like thing that they put in. There's like these. We're talking about these wizards that are basically electromagnetic waves, but the security guard ones are actually just, they look like dogs, and they actually will like woof at you every now and then.
This game's great, by the way.
This game is fantastic.
Yeah, this
highly
is
recommend it.
Easily my favorite DS game. Highly recommend it to anyone.
It's very, very, it has a lot of really fun flavor to it as well. But anyway, yes, basically, fun fact, actually, there's a stunt car that supposedly someone called in a bomb threat on, and they sent in a 11-year-old to go and investigate because they don't know that we're Mega Man. But
hang on, they sent the 11-year-old because the first person they sent didn't get back to them.
Yeah, because that's what you do in these type of situations.
That's even better.
You don't evacuate when someone goes missing when a bomb threat is called in. You send in an 11-year-old.
Oh, there's ice on the doors.
Do they know he's Mega Man yet? Because he still hasn't brother banded with the lead.
No, none of these people
they
that are
still don't
sending him
know.
around, they don't know. Yeah, so basically Ice became this very powerful form known as Diamond Ice. She's been freezing like all sorts of things to mess with Sonia's concert out of jealousy. And now she has frozen the state, like the concert stage itself. And so there's actually a really cool animation where you like jump off and transform into Mega Man simultaneously, and end up on the wave road right in front of this next dungeon comp. You want to talk about this mechanic, Fat Kid?
Sure. When you stand over the ice, it's like a temperature gauge goes down, and if it reaches the bottom cold, then you get frozen. You have to use Taurus Fire, this like thing that you're carrying around, which was Butts that we fought earlier. You need to use him to get out of it, and it just wastes time, essentially. It wastes like, I want to say 6-9 seconds every time.
It's just a mash A mini game.
Yeah, it's really easy to just not get frozen when you know where you're going though.
And as you can see here, we made use of cloakers, which reduce our encounter rate, as we mentioned, and actually very nicely let us get through the first area without any encounters. For the most part, this mechanic almost has no side effect. You just run through the areas.
Yeah.
There's only one time you have to go out of your way to deal with like your temperature gauge, and it's
even
actually
then,
kind of funny the way it
It's
works.
like it's in the way anyway, so you just like stand there for a second and keep going.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they did make it go down or go back up when you're going across the teleporter things, like the arrows.
The dark blue ice is basically just your temperature goes down even faster than the light blue ice, for those that are curious. But yeah, so like right here, we just kind of take a quick stop. We don't need to use another cloaker. It actually, I believe, maybe reset our step counter. No, it doesn't. It doesn't reset our step counter when it expires, but this is going to be the only encounter we get through the entire comp. And then, that was unlucky.
Oh my!
We believe are a bit random. They can be a nuisance with Acon Bomb. Fine, I got a wide away of one.
But this is the one time where we use this like really long warp thing to just reset our temperature gauge real quick, and then we can go through the rest of the area unhindered. Yep. And now we are on to Diamond Ice.
This boss is pretty neat.
It is. I actually do want to try and get hit in a limited fashion here. If I lower my busting rank enough, I'll actually get Zenny from this fight, which allows me to afford more cloakers later on. It's not like a super big deal if I don't get the Zenny here, but
it's not required by any means. It just makes things nicer because you don't need the Mega card, technically speaking. Star Force 3 has the really nice feature where even from this first version you fight in the story, if you get a high enough rank, you will actually get the Mega card from an S rank. Technically, he had a 50% chance there at Zenny or the Mega card still.
Yeah, I forgot. I literally talked about taking damage and I proceeded to shield all the icicles.
You shielded everything.
Oops.
He's just too good for his own good.
It's alright, he got unlucky, which means he got lucky.
Yeah. But getting that Zenny is really nice. It makes sure that no matter what happens, he will always have enough Zenny for all of the cloakers he could possibly want later on.
Well, somebody has mentioned, they don't remember the story, but mentioned the voice clip of Taurus Flame.
Yeah,
we definitely all remember the English and Japanese voices very, very clearly.
Yes.
This is the game to have, the first game to have English voices, I think, and they're all pretty good. Those are pretty remarkable one we'll see later on. I need to check this.
They got the dub voice actors from the anime. Some do an okay job. Gio sounds pretty old, but that's pretty standard for this kind of thing. Star Force 2 had Japanese voice acting, but they removed all voice acting in the English version. But thankfully they went the whole,
I'm pretty sure they're not credited, I don't think, but I'm pretty sure Gio's voice actor is the same one who did Gray in ZX Advent, if you know that.
That's the real reason they didn't release the game in Europe. They just didn't want to do other languages voice acting.
Well, they could have just removed the voice again.
I know.
Don't give them excuses.
Alright, so we cleared up that incident, and Ace was with us once again. I forget exactly why, but he gave us this very special program called the Ace program in this version. In Red Joker, it's actually called the Joker program, but it has literally 0 functional difference. Also takes 0 link power to equip and is immediately equipped for us, which is really nice. This is what first allows us to mess with the noise level gauge, if someone wants to explain that.
Sure. So basically, the way that this works is when we get into a fight, you'll see a number in the top right corner of the main screen. This number is your noise gauge. The noise gauge goes up for every null elemental card attack that doesn't dim the screen that you use. What that means is things like swords count, things like later on we'll have drill arms that'll count, cannons count, and it works differently in bosses versus in virus fights. In virus fights, because enemies have lower health, they made it so that every damage over an enemy's HP amount gets added to the noise gauge. So if you delete an enemy with 40 HP with an 80 damage card, that's 80 minus 40 is 40 damage added to your noise gauge. The way it works on bosses is if you hit them with a null elemental card, half of the damage from the null elemental card gets added to your noise gauge because you're not going to overkill bosses except at the end. So they kind of needed to let you actually generate noise against bosses. So something like a longsword that does 80 damage will just add 40 to your noise gauge as well.
Yeah, there are some really neat effects that happen with high noise later on. Something special happens at 50% after a certain point in the game. Over 100% noise at any point in the game will let us pierce enemy iframes, and then later on, if we somehow get over 200% noise, something very special will happen as well.
I looked it up to make sure, because I thought I remembered it being different. Yeah, the voice of Geo is Jason Spizek. He does not voice Gray. Gray's a different voice actor.
Okay.
The more you know. All I know that Jason did is Dr. White in Mighty Number 9, and he voiced a dog in some random show. He does a bunch of stuff though.
Timeling took a page out of, he took some advice from Fat Kids and saved. Incredible.
He's not going to lose 40 minutes here.
It has been reported you can die to this gauntlet right here. This is a free fight gauntlet, and I have actually come close to dying here myself. I've never actually died completely, but that might be because I haven't spent enough time running the game yet. I fear it's going to happen eventually.
I've only ever died to this gauntlet once. Unfortunately, I chose the worst time to do that one time.
It's during a marathon. It was a very good run.
Yeah, during a marathon where I didn't save before.
Yeah. The reason that this particular gauntlet is relatively scary is mainly this last fight where there is this big fire guy who constantly shoots fireballs at you if you damage him and don't delete him immediately. So if you're not careful...
Oh my god.
That was a fight. Okay.
How did you not get hit by that shot?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
That is the result of a thing that I actually talked about back on Thursday, which is a mechanic of Star Force 3, which is when you first lock onto an enemy with a mega attack and fire off a card, it will give you a very brief moment of invulnerability. You cannot take damage, you cannot be hit, you cannot be flinched in any way. So because he had just used a sword to lock on, right as the shark was trying to attack him, the shark instead just passed through him.
I was expecting him to get hit on the way back, though, when he landed back.
There was just a lot of things going on because of the fact that he kept going, he kept mega attacking over and over and over again, but... Just wanted to make sure I was specifying that feature does exist because...
Yeah, we should have mentioned it earlier.
It might come up a few more times and does look a little confusing.
Yeah, there is actually a card called Mega Boost that gives you full invulnerability the entire time you're locked on, but we almost certainly won't run into that.
Yeah. It's in the Red Joker folder for Finalize, which is a mechanic we probably won't even get to, but for Black Ace, there's like no chance you're ever seeing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you won't ever see it in an any percent run unless in Red Joker.
Oh yeah, we never explained like Black Ace, Red Joker differences. I guess we should probably do that with the noise form.
Tragic.
Yeah, this is a little unfortunate, but as Vec had mentioned, there is there are two versions of Star Force 3, kind of like how different versions of Battle Network, or if you're more familiar with Pokemon, kind of like that as well for Red, Blue, etc.
Or Demi Kids. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that series.
Shoutouts to Demi Kids, Fat Kid's favorite game series. But anyway, so the differences between Black Ace and Red Joker is pretty much just that there are a set of 5 transformations you are more likely to get in each particular version. Other than that, the finalized form, which is the form you can go into when you get over 200%, is different between Black Ace and Red Joker. Also, the 5 Giga cards that you can acquire throughout the game are different between the versions, but that doesn't really affect any percent speed even too much. They're roughly equivalent Giga cards that you get access to. So,
porn story moment coming up. Everyone's least favorite part when looking at Twitch chat.
This is a great part of the game. It's an unskippable cutscene, which every RPG runner's favorite.
It's a very short one, at least. But
yeah, it's not actually that bad, but it's pretty much just an option that you have to pick. It's like a text dialogue. You have to pick from whose items you're going to save, because you're trying to get back some items that were stolen from your friends. And 3 of your friends' items are with this guy. They get flown off of the wave road, and you have to save only one of them. The rest are going to disappear forever.
I'm sorry, I can't side with anyone here. I know my friend always saves Sonia's back. I know Rish always picks Bud's shirt, but I'm gonna go for what is the default fastest option as well. I'm sorry.
Bud's shirt is the safest option when trying to keep Twitch chat down.
So you gotta be careful with that one, because it is one of the girl's choices. This is why I always choose the slowest option, because it's Bud's shirt and you can never go wrong saving the homie's item. Okay, just gonna put that out there.
All right.
The actual effect of choosing these has no like lasting effect. It just affects the next scene. Like you get a scene with the person whose item you saved.
If you're a true gamer, you saved before that choice every single time, and you did all 3, and then you went about your day.
Yeah, I did.
I did that on my not on my casual run specifically, but I went to rewatch the other ones later. They were all very worth watching. Really you get a lot of insight into the into each of the 3 characters you can pick the item from. It's actually really interesting.
Yeah. So we didn't really talk about exactly why we're here story-wise. This is Aloha, the sequel to Wazop. Basically, what we're here for is we're on a school trip. We're just here to, sightsee and whatnot. And we're also learning about something known as the environmental system, which is a system put in place that controls all of the weather for this remote island. Because if we've learned nothing from Battle Network
How does this keep happening?
Nothing can go wrong when you have systems that control the entire weather.
What is this, like the 3rd instance of this?
The 3rd time.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing could possibly go wrong. It goes haywire because someone used a noise card on the wizard that controls the environmental system.
Wait. Oh, I was looking at the map. Okay, hold on, it's fine.
You don't often see this, but this is what happens.
Okay, so Time Link did this to show what happens if you fail it.
Yeah, exactly. when you fall off.
It's in one of the corners of the map that you just have to run, and then it puts you back where you came from.
So what's like the positive use of a noise card? Because so far they've just only been used to mess with people.
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're made for.
A noise is not a good thing. It's basically like a virus kind of thing, but for electromagnetic beings. So they're constantly being used to make these wizards and whatnot go haywire to produce noise, which crystallizes into what is known as crimson, and they're trying to collect crimson. That's the main sort of thing that's going on behind the scenes for the main villain group.
Yeah, story-wise, noise is basically like really like heavy pollution from future technology combined, and then when it gets really bad, it becomes crimson. but Geo can control it because he's the main character and he gets given a cool gadget thing.
Yeah, the Ace program we got from Ace basically allows us to harness noise, which is very convenient. There's another function built into it that we haven't seen yet, but we'll be seeing it after this scenario. Oh, really?
That always happens with sharks. They always manage to move in the way just in time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I can show this off.
You did have this last time. I was waiting for it. This is a Galaxy Advance known as Giant Axe. If you're familiar with Battle Network, this is basically...
Oh, wait a minute.
249.
Oh, I guess.
It's a drill arm.
Huh. That's funny.
So yes, when you go over 100% noise in a virus fight, you will get a random reward that is sometimes data that is not actually in the game. Well, it's in the game, but it's not like part of the main library of cards. They brought back a ton of just different cards and made a bunch of new unique ones, specifically for what is called illegal data like that. Because noise makes things go haywire. That's why all sorts of things go wrong. But yeah, so basically, we just randomly got Drill Arm 1 from that, which is not too bad. It's a card that's useful. We're actually putting it in the folder later on anyway, because we get 3 of them pretty much for free at some point. But yeah, that's illegal data. You won't see it very often in any percent runs, but when it does happen, it's really fun.
What's like the ultimate high roll of like getting just the ridiculous card from illegal data?
I have a story to tell about this because it actually relates to this specific comp and specifically the abyss I fell into. In my casual run, I got like 1 encounter down there and I got illegal data and it was Time Bomb X, which it basically puts down a time bomb on the field and hits the entire field for, in that case, 240 fire damage, which is really, really busted to have that early on because, like I said, you can set any standard card as default, and yeah, even those like X cards, which are like the 4th versions of a card, basically, you can just set as default and just blow the entire field to smithereens. It's awesome.
The best things you can really get for, say, an any percent speedrun, we actually have it's one of our white cards right now. It's called Dance Fire 3. Something like that would be disgustingly strong because we can't put white cards on our default, like Time Link was saying. It's even though they're standard, they cannot be specifically put on reg. But if we get them through illegal data, because that's the only way Dance Fire exists is through illegal data, you would be able to reg it, have it for every fight, and then you just can always pick that specific card and destroy every virus fight, pretty much.
Did you mention the rewards are based on, like, tiers?
I did not, yes, that is correct.
Yeah, the rewards for illegal data is broken down into, I want to say 12 tiers? 8. Okay. So there's 8 tiers of rewards, and those all have their own pretty large drop pool. And obviously tier 8 is the ones with the quote-unquote best cards, and you can get Sword Fighter X and crazy stuff like that. You get really lucky. And that was a boss fight.
That was Club Strong. He exists. He's grass element, so he's very weak to a majority of our folder.
Yeah, we already are trying to do fire damage to things because it's really strong, but he also chose to be wood element, which is weak to fire, plus for some godforsaken reason, he chooses to put grass panels under himself when he moves. So we do triple damage to him with all of these cards for no good reason.
I was about to ask, does the grass tile stack with that?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's 3x, not quite 4x if you might think 2x, then 2x again. That's a Battle
Network
Network
thing.
Battle Network there. But so this is a fun fight. This is actually a forced loss. You can't win this fight, but if you do 350 or so damage, the fight just ends.
Like that.
The fight just ends. So like a card, like a fire card that just with grass panels does just enough, like Mad Fire, perfect for that fight. Otherwise, you would just intentionally die, and that's that.
All right, this cutscene is very important, so we're gonna have to watch it. This is where possibly Star Force 3's most famous plot development happens.
You save a handkerchief and then make them watch this? Damn, heartless.
That's messed up.
This is not
Gotta
Yu-Gi-Oh!
save
To
the
the
frames.
person asking in chat.
This this cutscene is a very like serious plot point. It's probably the only time in Battle Network or in Star Force where like something of this magnitude happens.
Yeah.
The closest thing is
On
in Battle
screen,
Network
at
3 when poor Dr. Cossack or Beardman gets electrocuted.
Well, there's also Battle Network 2 where the guy explodes, and then we don't see him ever again. for the
Except
rest
in
of the game.
BCC, which apparently is just a fever dream.
Someone's got to bring up BCC every time that plot point's brought up.
It's required. Like, what?
But
How does it come back?
if you only played BN2, though, you wouldn't know. That guy's just gone.
Yeah.
He blew up.
Yep. So, this whole cutscene is leading up to our good friend Luna being literally turned into data
And obliterated.
and obliterated into fragments. That's exactly what just happened.
So we're gonna go get the fragments, right?
I don't know.
that's
Is that
possible.
even possible?
I don't know.
Hang on, let me Google the age rating and see what happens to this plot point. Star Force.
That's darker than I was expecting from this series.
Yeah.
Alright, see,
yeah.
for everyone, she'll be
Pretty
fine.
much the darkest thing that happens here.
This is Star Force has like very serious like story plot points.
Yeah,
For
Star
example,
Force 1 especially.
I was gonna say Star Force 1 is literally like Geo is super depressed because his dad like went to space and never came back, right? Like
Well,
it's really heavy hitting.
Before we get too deep into this is where we were going to take our first break, correct?
Yeah, I think we all need it after that.
Yeah, I think we all need a chance to stand up and stretch, catch our breath after that hard-hitting cutscene. So here on Hotfix, for our longer runs like this, we like to take wellness breaks. So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, give everybody a chance to get up, stretch, refill your water, just take care of yourselves. And I will also take this opportunity to remind everybody, if you registered and you have not submitted your vaccine information to the Games Done Quick website for Summer Games Done Quick 2022, excuse me, you're running out of time rapidly. Until the end of tonight is the deadline. So if you've been dragging your feet on that, go do that during the break right now. And we'll see you in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. To the community spotlight, we just took a quick break because here on Hotfix we like to encourage wellness breaks on our longer runs. We're partway through Megaman Start Force 3. This is the Black Ace version, since that has been a common question in chat. And before we get right back into it, I just reminded everybody we're going to do it again. If you registered for Summer Games Done Quick 2022 and you have not submitted your vaccine information, you are running out of time to do that. Go do that on the website right now. Otherwise, we're just going to get right back into the run. Rish, why don't you give us a countdown to unpause and resume?
I got you. All right, on go. 1, 2, 3, go.
All right.
Sorry, I remembered the conversation felt I needed to.
But cool.
I had a feeling you were gonna trick me, but I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, the best fake out I've heard on those types of meme countdowns was actually, I think on Friday, we had a commentator named Jameek who said, okay, on go, ready, set, 3, 2, 1, go.
Jameek is the greatest countdown guy I've ever met. We call him in, like every Team BN event, we call him in for the countdowns. He's incredible at it.
Legend.
But anyway, to
Big shout out
reintroduce
to the impromptu
ourselves.
Star Force free race at the late Dominoes.
True.
Right.
Just to reintroduce us to what was going on since before the break, very serious plot points happened. Our friend Luna has been, unfortunately, obliterated, but we have found out that our friendship still exists. Our brother band hasn't been broken, so therefore, she might still be alive. There might still be hope. And so we are looking for ways to fix Luna. for lack of a better word.
She blew up into data. What?
So we're going to the like big sort of like government sort of research agency known as WASA. I forget exactly what that stands for off the top of my head. It's
I don't know if they have a tell you.
There he goes. He's going. It's a big place that hosts both the Satella Police, which is like an international police force, which our friend Ace is a part of, we finally learned, and also where, like I said, WASA, this big sort of research agency, is also hosted. So we're reaching out to some scientists here to see if they can help us with Luna. Currently, we're waiting for her to be ready, so we're just talking to different people because this is actually where our dad used to work. And we also get access to something known as the WASA folder. This is our second folder. It has a lot of really good cards in it that we're going to be stealing and putting in our main folder very shortly. So,
had to show that little Easter egg off. I don't know if it was slow enough for anyone to read it, but there's like a fake out HP minimum that you can regain, and it's a really good gag.
This is true. It's a very good one. At the bottom of the stairs, you talk to it infinitely, and you just think that it's going to give you an HP memory over and over and over again, but it's only doing it the one time.
Okay, it doesn't stand for anything.
Oh, well, okay.
Dang.
Now we know.
Unfortunate.
So I think in Japan it's Waxer, so...
Yeah.
So you're saying we get to make up what it means?
Yes.
Correct.
True.
To answer
Wrestling
the question.
Association Zebra Alliance. There you go.
Thank you, fat kid. It's basically just this game's equivalent of NASA. If you play Battle Network 4, there's a similar agency called NAXA in that game. That's where Waxa comes from. It's because it's sort of the evolution of NAXA to Waxa, and now it's WASA for the US version. Whatever, it works.
Wasn't it also like something else in Star Force 1? Wasn't there another similar sounding one? I forget. I want to say that one.
Well, I mean, there's Anakin, but that's just Mr. Boreal's lab.
Yeah.
That's our friend's lab. Not
I don't
a very
misremember.
big one. It's also a museum. But anyway, we have taken stuff from the extra folder, put it in our main folder. We also got this shop here, where we can now buy all of the cloakers we need. 9 is the perfect amount for pretty much every area that we can effectively make use of cloakers for the rest of the game. So, there are a few places, such as this one in particular, that cloakers can be useful. There's a couple other ones that you could use them if you happen to have just enough extra to have like maybe 1 or 2 more, but overall, even this one's not particularly useful because we are, as you see, we still got an encounter. Oh, we got.
I will
100%.
probably go back and buy some extra
exactly.
cloakers. Oh, that's not
Mech
bad.
Flame 1
huh?
ain't bad.
Flame one's pretty okay. It's another fire card to add to our collection.
Yeah, this is the version 1 of the Mech Flame we've been using this entire time.
Yeah, so it'll just be less damage. By a little
Oh my
bit.
god.
Same functionality though.
Yeah.
Oh hey, Mutek.
Okay, I guess we get to see what this does. Let's see if I can kill anyone with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
got-
does that. It's
You got one.
Yeah, I guess I did.
You got exactly
sure.
the one.
I'm pretty sure it does 70 damage 3 times, so the
Yeah.
damage isn't like awful.
It's okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
But it's really difficult to hit, I would say. Also, very interesting thing. Time Link took out something known as Pollen Shot. The way Pollen Shot works is it's kind of like a cannon, except it also just hits anything that is on a grass panel. So, like any
Pretty
enemy
cool.
that's already on a grass panel will be damaged by Pollen Shot. So it's just a lot of extra damage. Nothing too crazy. It doesn't add to our noise counter, unfortunately. Wood element cards are usually really strong, though, because they don't apply iframes anyway. So that is an added benefit.
Yeah,
but you can
each-
use them for comboing.
It's the same for BN, but each element has its own like unique property. Wood is always no iframes. In this game, non-elemental chips are the only ones that increase noise, so they end up kind of being the best. But I mean, not in the speedrun because fire is so strong, like mid and early game.
So, we are beginning the collection of Luna fragments, aka Luna Frag Search, which you're gonna hear like
Luna
6
Frag
times.
Search.
Basically, we were told that Luna's fragments were broken up into 6 different pieces, or some different number of pieces, and it's
6,
possible if we gather all 6 of them that we can bring her back to the way she used to be. It's not a guarantee, though. It's supposedly a really small chance, but a chance nonetheless.
Yeah. Honestly, the worst part about the side quest, aside from the ear screeching sound acid makes every time you're super close to a Luna frag, is like they don't really point you in the right direction. I feel I had to get a bunch of hints for this one on my casual run because I kept scanning the area and acid said like, oh yeah, there's something nearby. Search again for more details or something, and I actually wasn't really close at all, and I didn't really get any closer without hints.
I'm fine with it. I think the only evil part is that they put them in the cybercores.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they put a lot of them in like major areas. Like there's 3 major areas of Aloha: the castle, the like main area, and then the beach. And for some reason, like they didn't just use those 3; they also used a couple other side comps. So you have to check everything, and it's kind of ridiculous.
One of them's even the main comp that you've like already been in, and you have to revisit it just for this.
Is there like
You might not think to do that.
people you can talk to get hints on that, or you just literally have to just walk around using the scan thing?
You just have to walk around using the skin.
Yeah, I don't
You can
think
talk
there's any
to
kind of
that
hint system.
particular. You can talk to that NPC that they're called Malwizards, and you can also talk to this Hertz coming up that they actually have the Luna frags, and there's also a wizard on the beach that we're going to talk to that also has a Luna frag. You have to scan first near them. Talking to them does nothing.
What?
If you talk to them, there's no text indicating that anything is wrong.
Oh, so then
Yeah.
if you've already talked to them and you scanned, you don't think that you need to talk to them again because they didn't tell you anything useful?
Well, thankfully, once you scan, it'll be really obvious because
If-
there'll
yeah.
be a sparkle like on them. And then acid is like, there's someone here. Grr.
Yeah,
I guess
you have to scan close to the object that has it first, and then if you're on the same screen as them, basically.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
see, you just talked to it 3 times. Nothing
I was
happened.
just demonstrating. It's fine.
The environmental system is fine. Is what he just said, like over and over again. No indication that he has a Luna frag, and is going to start a virus fight when we
You the
try to
cops?
get it back. You're the cops.
This Hearts is really good dialogue as well.
This hurts is so funny.
Yeah, he's like, he thinks you're harassing him at first, and then he's like, I'm gonna call the cops on you, and you're literally with the cops. So
And he says, oh, oops, and throws a bunch of viruses at you.
that was incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you're on a grass panel, and the enemy is dealing fire damage. So not only did this enemy have upgraded damage because he's a G virus, he also got doubled because of the grass panel. That's why he saved before that fight.
Yeah.
Some people have died to it. I won't name names
Fat kid?
because
No, this one isn't me this time.
it's
Oh.
not even it's not
Okay.
even fat kid.
That's why you're not naming it, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
not naming any names.
Otherwise, he would have called me out immediately.
That's why I was like, fat kid? What? Huh?
Yeah, we don't have to hide around fat kid making mistakes because he owns it himself anyway.
Alright, we are almost done with Luna Frag Search. This is usually the time I'll run a poll in my chat. There's something very specific, something very important coming up. I'm gonna get 1 random transformation out of 5 possible ones. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on what I want to see and what I don't want to see as to not jinx it, but
I will.
yeah, if you want to explain that a bit more.
Yes, there are, as you mentioned, 5 different transformations that are unique to each version. So Black Ace has 5, Red Joker has 5 separate ones. For the first 2 noise changes, which is what we're going to have happen very shortly, you can only get one of the 5 specific to your version. After that, it's just more likely to get one of those 5. So for Black Ace specifically, the 5 that we are going to see are either, almost said the wrong one, Ophiuka, Cancer, Libra, Gemini, or Corvus. They're all based on different enemies that we have seen previously or just in this particular game. Funnily enough, Corvus we haven't even seen yet. He's in this game later on. But basically, those are the 5 forms that you can guess. It is completely random. There is no known way yet to manipulate this particular transformation. Even though that would be really nice.
You can save before the transformation, though.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you can reset for a different run if you really want.
It's not worth it a speed run.
It's usually not worth it because, like, at the end of the day, it's very long.
Okay.
Could be worse.
I don't even know which one this
This
is.
is Cancer.
Okay.
This is alright. So this is one of the ones I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see Libra and I didn't want to see Cancer. Cancer is an Aqua noise. It powers up Aqua cards. I believe it gives me a charge shot that traps enemies in a bubble. It's we can't really make use of this. Our folder has no Aqua cards and we'll never have Aqua cards.
The nice thing is that even though our folder doesn't necessarily have like the cards to make use of this particular transformation, there are added benefits, which I'll talk about in a second. First, mashing minigame. There's going to be a bunch of Omegasis copies that appear in different set locations, but they randomly spawn from those different set locations. Eventually, we're trying to boil this down to just mashing on the one spawn. So, for some reason, it just works eventually. But basically, Time Link is just mashing A and B right here. Look at this.
I remember...
Oh, wait, never mind. He almost had it.
You have to mash A and B like as fast as you can to make this go faster. I remember when I was 15, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah. And I started racing and speedrunning it, and I was like, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah. If you, like, right at the end there, that specific spawn just kept spawning the Omegasis copies for whatever reason. It's the best way to end it, but it's just, you have to delete a set number of the Omegasis copies. They have 3 different targets. One of them are the security robots they'll fight to the death with for a bit. They'll always win in the end unless you help out. They will otherwise target the barrier, which is the little health bar in the top right. If that gets to 0, you lose. And I think you just have to redo it. I've never actually failed it.
I was about to ask what actually happens, because I've come very close once.
I don't know.
You have to just be like, you have to redo it from the very start, basically. Just, Mogasis says something, he's like, oh no, we'll have to try again. And then you just try again. That's it.
Yeah. So basically now they're targeting the different computers. The other thing they can target is you. If they go directly at you and they come into contact with Mega Man, you just get put into a virus fight, which is really slow. It's not bad.
Really slow.
It's just incredibly slow.
These things have like 350 HP. It sucks.
It's only 220, really.
Oh, it's only 220.
Some of them are higher, some of them are lower.
I have gotten into many fights here before.
The pink ones have the most health. They're also the fastest. The yellow ones are slightly lower than that, and green ones are the easiest. They're the slowest and lowest HP. There are Omegasis copies later in the game that do have 300 health, though, so that's where Fakid got that information.
Yeah.
Gotcha. These, like, little helper dudes, they can die, but it doesn't really affect anything. Still just good.
They actually, they'll die, and then they'll be resummoned, like, a few, like, seconds later sometimes. Yeah. So, but yeah, it doesn't really make a huge difference. They're basically just another target the Omegasis copies go after sometimes.
This is like...
And here we go.
Well,
yeah, this is one of the areas you can't spawn camp them as easily. You just kind of have to spin around a lot.
This is where I literally just do circles on my D-pad very quickly. Right in front of the elevator.
Unfortunately, there's a whole 4 rounds of this, which sometimes isn't nice on your hands either. If you go like overboard with the mashing, I try and like keep it to a reasonable level, but I do still sometimes feel So sometimes it can get a little painful.
This is the one part of the game where mashing is just not fun.
There is
It's
a
also the only
specific
time you
spot you
really
can get
have to
into here
mash.
that's kind of nice if it works
Yeah,
out.
thankfully, it's not like that bad. It's only this small section, and it's also the only Star Force game with mashing in general. So
Yeah, required mashing, we should say.
yeah, required mashing. There's text mashing, obviously, but that's
You-
not as.
The nice thing with text mashing is you can actually do time presses and you'll get just about the same effects because it's not pretty much just input as quickly as possible. There's like delays between them. This is the nicest one though because for the most part they all spawn in a pretty consistent location that if you just kind of stand really close to this corner, you pretty much just press A running into the wall and they all die.
Alright, yeah, there's a mini game kind of like that later on in the far end game, but I actually find that's a lot nicer in the hands because it just comes in intervals.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Ace's fighting pose.
He's a legend.
He's ready to go.
Danced up. But anyway, we're actually going to be introduced to a boss from Star Force 2
Force
that
2.
like I said, we saw on Thursday. It's the first boss of that game. His name is Dark Phantom, and he just kind of shows up in the middle of all of this mayhem to take advantage of the situation. What's currently going on is we're using a computer to try and combine all of the fragments of Luna, put them back together, bring her back to the way she used to be, and he is currently trying to stop that for whatever reason. I think he wants to use the computer for his own purposes.
He's basically, he wants the ACE program and he's taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
that's
thought the
correct.
only reason he was in the computer was just like that was where he just like took them
He
hostage.
just fled.
Yeah, he just took them hostage, which kind of stopped the process and put the whole situation at risk. He's not doing it because he hates Luna or anything. It's just he wants the noise program that we currently have
He
access
wants
to.
things to go back to his script.
Yes.
He's a theater kid. He likes his script. He doesn't like deviations from it.
We never really talked about how Madfire works. Madfire is just a shot of fire that goes down the row or column that you're currently in. But if you shield something before using it, it actually goes down all three of the rows, one on the left of you and one on the right.
Yeah, it's actually I think the only card that interacts with Shield like that, right?
I don't know of any others off the top of my head. I would believe that there are more, but that's the only one that I know of that interacts like that. So this is Dark Phantom. This is the first boss where we're going to be fighting someone after our noise change. And that introduces the mechanic where if we get over 50% noise, we will
Whatever.
enter a stage known as Vibrant Noise. What that means is our transformation becomes colored. We can actually see the color that our transformation is supposed to be. And that also adds different effects. Like, I don't know exactly how it impacts cancer specifically, but the main thing that it does is when we get a counter hit over 50%, we will have access to a Noise Force Big Bang, which is a very, very powerful Giga-esque card that does a ton of damage. And it's actually one of the reasons why even cancer, in my opinion, isn't even that bad.
Yeah, Cancer's Noise Force is actually pretty good.
Is because the Noise Force Big Bang is elemental based. So because we're Aqua, the Noise Force Big Bang will be Aqua and deal tons of damage, which will be really good against the Fire Boss later on.
That's a pretty big reason why Libra kind of sucks. Theirs is non-element.
Yeah, it's the weakest, doesn't have any elemental bonus, and
It
even
doesn't
without
hit
that,
it hits all the panels, but like only once.
it hits them twice for 140, which is 280 total, which is literally the lowest amount of
Yes.
any Noise Force
Cancer
Big Bang.
is 300. By the way, Cancer is just boost aqua damage and turns your Buster into the bubble, which makes Olek do more damage. That's all it does, I'm pretty sure.
Interesting.
And this is Dino Wave. This is our Noise Force Big Bang. Aqua Element, 3 shots. It's okay, I guess.
It's just the fact that it's elemental, so it really helps with, like, specifically a fire boss, which is, in my opinion, one of the most annoying bosses in the any % run. Which is why it's, like, okay.
We should probably point out, ideally, in this version, we go on Corvus or Ophiucha.
Corvus is... Like, I would say there's, like, 3 good noise changes and 2 bad noise changes. Libra and Cancer being the bad ones. Gemini, Ophiucha, and Corvus being really good. Honestly, like, Corvus wouldn't even be good if it went for its Noise Force Big Bang, because the Fire Noise Force Big Bang is called Atom Blazer. It does 400 fire damage in a single hit, and we have Acon Bomb on default, so we can do we can set grass panels every time.
Yeah. Take it
and
to
double
800.
that to 800. It's really good.
Regardless of the elements of the enemy. So if we're up against, like, say, Club Strong, you just do a quick 1200 to him for no reason.
Yeah. Ophiucha also does spawn grass panel with the shot, and I believe like it flinches enemies without giving them iframes, which is really nice, and it also works really nicely in conjunction with pollen shots. Gemini in Vibrant Noise gets sword paralysis, which is actually really nice because that both combines with its Noise Force Big Bang, which is Thunderbolt Blade, and that paralyzes as well. And it also works with Acid Ace, which is really interesting. You have a lot of options.
Ophiucha does not inflict iframes, it confuses them instead.
Oh, okay.
I believe... Does Ophiucha also have super armor, or am I making that?
No. I wish it did.
Super armor.
See, I would believe if it did, because for some reason the Ophiucha boss that it's based on in Star Force 1 has super armor, and in Star Force 2 it doesn't, so...
I guess.
Pretty sure it doesn't.
Yeah, Red Joker
Red
Joker kind of has a monopoly on super armor. There's a noise change in Red Joker called Taurus Noise, which is pretty much the ideal thing for the speedrun that you want to see. It has super armor by default. It's the fire noise, so it gets Atom Blazer, and it's just really good all around. Red Joker also gets super armor by default in its finalized form. Although as a trade-off, Black Ace gets many other things.
What about Rogue Noise? Rogue Noise is basically the best noise, but we can't get it in the speedrun because the first 2 noise changes cannot be Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is something that we basically hope for and almost expect in a 100% run of the game. We literally, like, because we do enough fights, we sort of expect to eventually get Rogue Noise, but for any percent, like, it's just not going to happen most of the time.
Is that one that,
Almost all
like,
the time.
you can manipulate, or...?
It's not one you can manipulate. Eventually, you will get it because of the way it works, funnily
it
enough.
technically has the highest chance to get after the 2 noise changes, as long as you don't have any real-life brothers or friends on your account.
So the way that it works is after the first 2 noise changes, if you don't have any real-life brother bands, basically if you haven't, like, added anyone in the game, you can get access to Rogue Noise, which buffs swords by the most. It's like 50 damage. It's insanely strong with like most of the strats you want to do. But the way that you get it is the first time that you can get Rogue Noise, it's a 10% chance, just a flat 10%. Every time after that, if you didn't get access to Rogue Noise and you got a noise change, it goes up by 10 more %. So slowly but surely, the more noise changes you get, it'll eventually become 100% to get, as long as you don't have a noise change.
Somebody asked, it's not element, so why is it good? Non-element becomes better in a 100% run because post-game things, but also 50 damage is an absurd amount to increase things by, and that also means that you get noise really fast.
Yep, because you can buff things that are non-elemental, you're doing a lot more damage. There's a lot of there's actually a few multi-hit swords as well, which is kind of nice. And overall, it's just insanely busted with some of the other cards that you can farm for in the game.
Yeah, Rogue Barrier is nice, but it doesn't really affect the speedrun that much. It just makes things like a little safer if you get it, but not really.
Part of it is that Star Force 3 just has insane swords. I did get a couple Bushidos along the way. I think 2 in total. One's not in yet. But Bushido is an awesome sword-based series that basically the more of them you draw in a single draw, the more range you get, and also the stronger it gets. It gets an additional 50 for every other Bushido you draw, and like it does that effect across versions as well. It's insanely good. In the speedrun, in the 100% speedrun, we literally just get a folder that's 5 Bushido 1, 5 Bushido 2, 5 Bushido 3.
You don't have to select them all. It's just how many you draw. So like,
It's
no.
it's
You
how
do
many
how many you can
pick.
select in a draw. Yes.
So
okay.
usually at most you can get like 4 of them because there actually is a white card code for specifically Bushidos as well. Technically, if you get insanely lucky, you can get a full 6 card draw of just Bushidos, but most of the time, like at best, you're going to see 3.
Not only does it increase the damage, though, each additional Bushido also makes the hitbox bigger.
Yeah.
Yes. So they go from regular swords to wide swords to effectively life sword range, like that giant axe you just saw on screen.
Yeah, it turns
Yeah.
into a giant axe at 3.
Except
Crown
insanely
Thunder.
fast.
Crown
it's like,
Thunder.
It's like 5 frames for the Bushido to come out. It's incredibly fast compared to Giant Axe, which has this large windup.
But what's funny is that's pretty much the best card in the game, and the second best card in the game is another sword card called Sword Fighter X.
Yes.
Yeah.
So coming up, we are about to fight our good friend Ace, who has shown that he can transform into what is known as Acid Ace.
This is probably the hardest fight in the run.
Yeah, I don't like this fight at all. I'm very bad at this fight.
Is very risky because it's the fight just before we get a huge upgrade. And if you don't get a good draw, he can kind of just bully you. His pattern is a little
Yeah,
odd.
he is really fast if you don't know his moveset really well.
Yeah.
Ah, got
Also
him.
very difficult to counter hit because some of his cues aren't very well telegraphed.
He is also gonna 3-shot you, maybe 2-shot you.
Yeah, most of the time in like an any percent run, if you're trying to go as fast as possible, you're not picking up extra HP memories as well, and that can get really dangerous when he can do 50 damage per hit.
And he can like combo you and stuff as well. It's scary.
So now we have just formed another brother band. A lot of these have been happening in cutscenes over the past hour and a half or so. And we just have enough link power now that we can equip HP plus 500. So now, nice HP.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even know that was going to happen. Normally we
Yeah.
have just 600 here, but he just happened to pick up just enough HP to get an extra 90.
All according to plan. Definitely.
But yeah, so now most things like can't really kill us at this point.
Nice.
We have so much HP.
How important is Zenny in this round? We didn't really talk about that too much.
Outside of the like sort of extra that we try to get in from Diamond Ice, you literally don't need Zenny. Once we have purchased all of the cloakers, there's nothing else to even use Zenny on. Technically speaking, we need we need like 50 for a request to go faster, but if you don't have 50 Zenny, I am so sorry for you.
That isn't gonna happen ever. It just isn't.
I mean, you're getting like more than 50 Zenny from a lot of these fights, aren't you?
Yes, almost
Yeah.
every
You
fight
could
is
theoretically
There's, like,
get
no
cards
fight that
from every
drops
single
less,
one and
really.
never Zenny. There is one
there-
use.
There's a lot of forced fights that actually you can't get cards from. So like those fights you are going to get Zenny from. And a lot of them happen early on, some of them happen later. Like there are very few situations where you will not have any Zenny.
There is one use. If you have 15,000 Zenny, you can buy Hurricane Dance, I think it is, which is non-elemental and does decent damage, but that's never something that you like need
Oh, that
for
was
a
true.
good run. It's just, if you get there with that Zenny, you might as well pick it up.
Yep, it's just 15,000 Zenny for a pretty nice chip for bosses, pretty much. It's also AoE, so it can help on viruses.
non-elemental, Moe hit. Moe hit's always good. What is this? This is Megaman Start Force 3, a spiritual successor to Battle Network. It takes place 200 years in the future story-wise.
Yeah. Since someone mentioned it, there is in fact online net play for this game with emulator and even with real console. And there's that's a good thing that that's now a thing because there's actually there's a total of there's a total of 5 golden title screen stars that are required for challenging Crimson Dragon SP, which is the 100% category. But there's also 3 extras beyond that, and one of them involves the Wi-Fi battling. I actually haven't gotten it to work myself yet, but technically you could like fully 100% complete this game again if you wanted to.
Thankfully, the car I bought just had that
nice.
Wi-Fi one on it when I got it for speedrunning, and I was like, never deleting that save.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't know a
luckier.
whole lot about shuriken, so I didn't realize that it got blocked.
Yeah,
by
I was going to ask that earlier.
objects.
Like, do you
I don't
usually
think it
get
gets
shuriken
blocked by
reached? I didn't
Diamond
know
Ice's
people
icicle,
get that.
strangely enough.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. There are some weird interactions in a lot of these games that even I don't know. They're just because they're so niche. You have to like very specifically use certain cards on certain enemies and objects, and just no way to know them all.
What's going on story-wise right now? I kind of forget. Oh, I remember.
So basically, what's happening right now is the reason that we actually just fought Acid Ace very recently was he was recruiting a team to take on the evil organization known as Dealer. And so he's putting together a bunch of people like us who can transform into these electromagnetic beings to fight and whatnot. This includes our friend Sonia, who can transform into Harpnote, and our friend Bud, who can transform into Torchfire, who you will be seeing on screen very shortly. However, while we are putting this team together, what happens is Dealer starts causing mayhem. So there's a bunch of things just going on throughout the world. Viruses are appearing in the real world, which doesn't normally happen. So our team is sent out to investigate and stop the viruses from appearing. So that's pretty much what we're doing. And we find out that there's these things called noise waves, which is where the viruses are coming from and therefore materializing in the real world.
Is this like
these
the
also
Undernet
have-
kind of deal?
Not
Not
really.
really.
There's like, they act essentially the same as normal cybercores, which are just, you know, the little side comps that are their own connected thing and only have like one area. There's just a lot of them throughout the game, and they have a few unique properties. Because I think this has higher encounter rates in here, right?
It has
funnily
low
enough-
encounter rates.
Funnily
Recall.
enough, I think it's lower.
Yeah.
Lower, okay.
It's weird. I would honestly argue that that is the closest equivalent to an undernet is the noise waves that you get in Star Force. There really is no actual equivalent to them.
Well, I would have thought the equivalent to Undernet is just like the post-game internet area.
Yeah, but most areas have a post game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
that's true.
it's a little weird. I would say
The point
this
is, though, the noise waves, other than like an exception, the noise waves are all self-contained and they don't connect to each other, but there is one exception to that.
6 of them are very specific, and they are numbered. They're called noise waves 1 through 6, and they are interconnected in at least some ways.
Yeah.
But these specific ones that have like unique names, for example, this is tree noise. It's actually all of these ones are the same exact map. You have a random spawn point in them. Like there's like 5 or 6 completely random spawn points, and you just have to know where you are in the area and where you have to go as a result.
Megaquint brought up a good point we should mention. You can't pulse out. You have to leave manually in these areas.
There's a fun little fact that I kind of learned by putting together maps of all of these areas. Basically, the way it works is the direction that you go into the noise wave. If you go to the like opposite side of the noise wave from that direction, that's where the exit will be. So for example, we went into this one from the bottom left. We were going up right into it. So because we were at the bottom left, that's where the exit is.
And the reason it's important to know that is because there's different set spawn points when you enter a noise wave. You're not always in the same spot.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
And yeah, it's the most random little fact that I found out only after like looking at and creating the maps for like 20 of these.
So, random story question. You said that he's putting together a team of people who can turn into like the EM wizards. Does that mean your friends finally know that you're Mega Man?
Our friends have known.
Yeah,
but
your friends know after Star Force 1, or they find out during a point in Star Force 1. So all your close friends know because they make brother bands with you, and your secret is that you're Mega Man. It's just people that aren't brother bands with you, like even Gio's own mum and stuff, don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing is that obviously the like government agencies such as the Satella police, they also know because they regulate this type of thing, but just kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah, at the start of the game when you pulse in, it gives you a transcode from Teleplius, and it like slightly changes what Geo looks like, whatever. Or at least that's the store, like the lore.
Yep. There's like 20 something of them so far in this game, and like we are given transcode 3. The first one I think is Acid Ace. I don't know exactly who 2 is. I want to say it's Rogue.
I don't know.
Wait, you want to say what?
I want to say it's
notice
Rogue.
4.
Oh, the transcode?
Yeah. We're actually about
Google.
to. We technically met Rogue in the story. He's like our arch rival who is literally the opposite of us in every way. But like, he's kind of an anti-hero more so in this game.
Transcode 2 is Rogue.
Yeah. But he's, like I said, he's just like an anti-hero that shows up, doesn't like us in any way because we're all about friendships and he's all about going it alone. Hence his name is literally Solo.
And that's why you get
Renegado.
that noise transformation when you don't have friends at it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There is also a form in Star Force 2, which you need like a different mechanic to get them. You need 6 collectible things, but that form isn't so great, unfortunately.
So we just went out of our way. Did you cancel the request to show off that text?
I needed to show off that specific text box. I think it's really funny.
You found it out really funny earlier. So basically, this is a optional help request that will set up another waveliner, which is like the little train thing you've seen a lot. It'll set up another pass that will get us to Waza directly. So we'll no longer have to do this long path that you've seen us do like 3 or 4 times already through the what is called the Astro Wave. So what he did is when you cancel the request, the lady basically is asking you to go and get her ice cream while she's working because she really, really wants ice cream. In fact, her name is her name is something to do with like
Sugar Sweet.
Sugar Sweet, thank you.
Star Force has a lot of awesome name puns.
But anyway, so we're gonna go get her.
God.
Indeed, I forgot our lad. But so basically, we're gonna eventually go get her ice cream, but not right away because this is a speed run, and first and foremost, we care most about speed, not someone's cravings at the moment. Eventually, we will get to a point where we're at the place where we can get ice cream effectively, and it's like not super far out of our way. But when you say no and like cancel her request, she says something like depressed, my ice cream.
It's an awesome text box. I just found that out very recently.
There's unfortunately probably no joke program in this game, huh?
There is actually.
There is. It's not as good though.
Oh, okay.
It's very mediocre. There's also a few extras that are there's a few busters that you can equip that give like funny sound effects.
Yes.
Like a cat meowing or a dog barking.
Yeah.
Every time you fire your buster, it makes that sound instead of the buster noise.
right, I'm sorry. I needed to show that awkward pan to Solo. He's just kind of there in the classroom. They're like, we have a problem.
Yeah, and it slowly drifts over, and Solo's just there looking.
I thought you were going to show the cutscene where he just cuts a hole in the floor. A gigantic hole in the floor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he cuts... Solo has this, like, giant sword, and he cuts a hole in the floor and then cuts another one in the wall instead of just using the doors.
Yeah. So this minigame, you want to talk about it, Fat Kid? It's your favorite.
Yes, I like this minigame. You have to shoot with the D-pad, but how quickly you do it means Rogue will hit the enemy, like, relative to how fast you do it. So if you do it as fast as you can, he will hit the enemy 3 times. The slower you do it, the less he hits. And if you're too slow, then he doesn't hit at all and you get hit. The hitboxes on these things are completely bizarre. I don't even know how to explain. But there's a lot of, like, weird stuff with this minigame. Like, if you shoot too fast, then your shot will sometimes go through the cluster and it slows your buster down than firing it manually. And if you wait too long, some of them start shining, which means you need to shoot that one first in order to keep up the 3rd hit from Rogue. It's weirdly, like, has a lot of mechanics for it for no reason, because this never shows up again.
Yeah. It's like some of them have different durations. It's a random duration on the, like, little blobs that you have to hit. They're like little noise clusters. If they blow up, it just stops you and you get hit. That's how you get hit. So no matter what, as long as you shoot all of them, Rogue will hit him at least once.
Timing's actually doing, like, a great job. I don't think he's missed one yet.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about this is that, at least for the first 2, there are certain thresholds that you have to meet. The way it works is that each of the enemies, like the big virus guys that you see in the back, they have certain health thresholds. For this one,
perfect.
he had to do 9 HP. So he had to get 9 hits in, which is ideally 3 times 3. So that was perfect from Timelink. The second one, Timelink actually made, like, a small mistake and ended up with only a 2-hit, but it didn't matter because it only had 7 HP. So no matter what he does, it's always going to take 3 attempts. As long as he goes, like, 3, 2, and 2, it's fine.
This is, like, deceptively hard as well. It, like, the time it takes to get 3 hits, you need to be incredibly fast. Even being a little slow, you just end up with 2 hits.
Yeah, like, even...
Yeah, that was 2 hits, and it's like you missed, like, 2 shots.
Yeah. Everyone always makes fun of me for being bad at this minigame. This is the one thing that
This is probably going to be a 1 hit.
I am made fun of.
Oh no, it was still 2.
This guy in particular has 12 HP. So ideally it's 3 hits times 4. But as long as you get 2 3 hits in, that's enough that you, like, save 1 extra rotation, if that makes sense, right? So at worst, once you get the 2 3 hits in, you just have to do 2 2 2, which is basically what Timelink did. So that was really good. Not, like, absolutely perfect, but still really solid.
Someone asks, what's the best form to get in this game? We described earlier for the speedrun, it's basically Corvus. For the other version, it's Taurus Noise. But Orfuka and Gemini is pretty good too.
Yep.
Casually, it's gonna be Rogue Noise pretty much all the time, but people like Gemini, they like Wolf. They like, I don't know what Red Joker people like.
Wolf is usually pretty good because it has fast gauge. So this is the Rogue fight. He's been distinctly nerfed since Star Force 2.
I would say.
He is incredibly easy to fight in comparison. He just kind of hops around, does, like, really slow attacks. He didn't really do anything to time.
Yeah. In Star Force 2, he has a regenerating barrier, and there's also a post-game boss version of him where he moves every, like, 3 frames.
What?
Which is...
It's absurd.
I'm not even exaggerating. It's about 3 frames each movement. It's insane.
Like, you have to wait for him to attack you, but he has super armor, so if you don't get a counter hit, he's going to
and a regenerating barrier.
Yeah, it's absurd.
What the
On top
hell?
of all of that, he also, like, 5 shots you from 1200 HP.
Yeah.
And he has 2500 or 3500 himself.
But anyway, now we're moving on to Corvus, which in my opinion is one of the more annoying bosses in this particular game.
Yeah.
He's fire elements. He has a lot of like random things that he does. And some attacks are like harder to counter hit than others. In fact, he's like almost impossible to counter hit unless you really have super armor. For example, right there, if he just used that was a free counter hit, but he got hit out of it. So he actually lost a tiny bit of damage for this. But this is why I said cancer isn't that bad.
He gets his.
Yeah.
Boom. 600 damage.
Quick 600 for just a single counter hit.
Noise Force big bangs are pretty good.
So what do you have to do to use those? Like, what are the requirements?
You just need to get a counter hit when you're over 50% noise, and then you just always get them. So you could actually like chain 3 or 4 of them back to back. It's usually really easy to do something like that on, say, Virgo, the last boss. But yeah. So this is for the record, we're not skipping this cutscene because I believe we're going to a break soon. But this is our friend Jack, who has been like part of the evil organization all along, but he's like trying to keep it hidden from us. But he's also like deep down really enjoying his time with us and having fun. But like his sister was also with us, and his sister is Virgo, who also got arrested. So he's kind of like lashing out now and just kind of doing random stuff. So he attacked our school because, he's getting emotional. And
sorry, Joker is so big.
So basically what just happened there is our good friend Jack had an emotional breakdown and basically just got arrested as well because we beat him.
All right, and that is going to be a good spot for our second break.
All right, so if you missed the first one, here on Hotfix, we like to take wellness breaks. So this will be our final wellness break of the run. So we're going to just take a short break here, give everybody an opportunity to get up, stretch, refill your water, use the restroom if you need to. As a quick reminder here on Hotfix, we would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to our Twitch channel, as Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. Unfortunately, I don't know if there is still time to submit the form. I don't know if it closes like now, like 20 minutes ago, or until Pacific. But if you have not submitted your vaccine information for Summer Games Done Quick 2022, try it anyway. We usually close those on Pacific time, so you should still have a little bit of time left. But we're going to be back in just about 5 minutes with the rest of this run. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone, to the Community Spotlight. We just finished our final wellness break of the night. So we are partway through Megaman Start Force 3 Black Ace. We'll be getting right back into that in a moment. Just as a quick reminder, though, Hotfix has daily speedrunning content every night of the week, starting weekdays at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I believe, for Time Capsule. Tomorrow, it's a show about speedruns of games that were all released in the same year. It's a lot of fun. You should check that out if you've never seen it. Hosted by Smooth Operative. But if you are ready, Time Link, why don't we get the fat kid countdown to unpause?
Ready whenever.
Okay. Ready on 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
All unique.
Once again, I was expecting more, and I was let down. It's fine.
I mean, it is pretty late for Fat Kid. We can't expect him to be too clever.
I refuse to mess up the countdown that much. I'll only make it slightly different.
See,
I am not an agent of chaos.
I don't mind messing with countdowns for like races or like individual runners, but I don't like messing with it for like tech people behind the scenes, because I know that like people are gonna get mad if like they are slightly off by like 1 second or something with the timer. So
you're expecting us to be accurate with the timer? Oh no.
No, I hope not. I know how annoying that is, getting that 100% accurate. So
all right. Something I do want to mention, since the conversation just came up in chat. So the preferred version, honestly, it's like There isn't necessarily one. I would say Red Joker is probably faster if you get a run with Taurus Noise, just because of how convenient it is. But as of last Wednesday, the any percent record uses Red Joker, while the 100% record uses Black Ace. So like, the difference is really minor. It mostly comes down to how you play rather than what noise form you get or like your finalized folder, I would say.
We'll say Black Ace probably has the worst forms to get if you get unlucky, maybe. I mean, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, I think Libra is just the absolute worst across the versions.
Yeah, I would agree, but also, at least for a speed run, I forgot the swan's name, god damn it. Cygnus noise is pretty bad.
I would say Libra's worse, but Cygnus is definitely a close one.
Libra is bad. Cygnus is pretty bad because you can get knocked out by breaking stuff, which the red boss, the last boss, does, which isn't a big deal in terms of dying, but you do lose time from up transforming. You don't really have control over it unless you just take the noise off.
Yeah, and you don't want to take the noise off because at least like those later bosses, you want to be racking up noise, and when you go into that transformation over 50%, if you get knocked out, you just go back to 0. It's not like a fully permanent thing. You can get back into that form, but you just lost all of the noise you've accrued so far. Overall, though, yeah, like Timeling said, Red Joker is probably just faster for any percent, specifically because Taurus Noise is just that much better than all the rest. The time difference, though, is so minuscule. I think current world record doesn't even get Taurus Noise.
In my expert opinion, in second last place on the leaderboards, I agree with what Rich said.
We're glad to have your expert opinion.
Hey, no problem.
All right, important question. Second to last out of how many?
An hour.
Second to last out of 5
out
on
of
console. Because DS emulators are really bad, we allow emulator runs, but they're completely separated out, so it's like hard to judge.
Yeah.
There's only 5 people who have done any percent no Kaizo gear on console specifically, and he's 4th technically.
4th out of 5th. Sorry, I thought you said by how much time. I didn't mean.
No. Out of how many runners? Because he could be underselling yourself. Could be like as a top 5 runner.
It is technically.
I am a top 5 runner.
He's a top 4 runner.
Oh wow.
All right. I believe we are scheduled as the last show for today, so I think it's time for content.
You're doing. Do you have the? Hold on. I have to turn.
What is happening, Brish?
Yeah. Okay. I have to turn the sound on. I actually have the sound muted because it's really uncomfortable only being in my right ear. But basically, what's happening is he got Omega. An Omega encounter. So the music got really ominous, if you couldn't tell. And after a set period of time, after a few encounters, he will get an Omega boss, which is something that doesn't usually happen to most people, even casually. However, for whatever reason, it always happens to speedrunners. Normally, you can actually just leave the area and it's like nothing changed, except you just had weird music for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I remember my entire first playthrough of this game. I think maybe even including the post game, I never ran into a single Omega. I didn't know it was a thing.
Same. Well, in post game I ran across one, but in the main game, never.
Yeah, it's something that most people don't actually know about, but at the same time, like, for some reason, in any percent speedruns, it happens at least once a run. I have no idea why.
Oh my god.
There was a race, and I forget who. I think it was Kilios, but he got 9 Omega music
oh my god, what?
In an any percent run?
How?
I don't know.
Yeah, for the record, it's a 1 in 64 chance for Omega music to appear. If the area you entered was unique from the last 2, or you had like something to do in a minor comp, for instance, that's happened a couple times. And then it's I believe in 6 in 16 to actually get the Omega boss to show up. I'm just getting random virus encounters all over the place, which is not what should be happening. As soon as there's a warning, you'll know it's the Omega boss, and fair word of warning, there is literally... Okay, There's literally zero way that I'll beat them because these are the hardest forms of bosses in the game. I don't know who it even is. It's random. Oh god.
This is probably the worst one you could.
This is the worst one you could have pulled off. This is an optional boss known as Wolf Woods. He has wood element, so he is susceptible to our fire attacks. But he's got a lot of health if you haven't noticed. He has more health than any other boss we would normally see in an any percent run. Unfortunately, you weren't over 100%, so that did miss despite because of iframes, I should say. I don't know if we necessarily mentioned that per se. If you go over 100% noise, all sorts of wacky things happen, and you can go through iframes and stuff. But unfortunately, you died, and it doesn't matter because if you die to an Omega boss, it just puts you back.
All right, hold on. I need to quickly pulse out and get my health back before I go into gun machine.
I was gonna say it might be worth a quick pulse out back in.
All right,
but that was a quick demonstration of Omega bosses. It's a really cool feature. It's just unfortunately really difficult to run into. So it's a cool little thing to show off. And I will say the best way if you are curious on farming them for like a casual playthrough is to just run between two areas that are like main areas, and you'll eventually run into music.
Can you do it repeatedly, or do you have to jack out each
areas,
time?
I'm pretty
you
sure.
can literally just. If that's the case, you can technically just go through like
I found a path from like
Astrowave.
Roof to School to Echo Ridge, and then there's like another set where I did National Astrowave, I believe.
Yeah, I think the best way is just running through National Astrowave a few times.
I remember seeing a route to run on GameFAQs to trigger one, and if I've learned anything,
GameFAQs.
when it comes specifically to BN and Star Force, if it's a random forum post that's hidden and nobody cared about, they know.
Yes.
GameFAQs are somehow both like incredibly knowledgeable and also completely useless at the same time. It's great.
The really good stuff is always like in a forum post that nobody even upvoted, and then all the bad stuff's in the guides. It's so unfair.
There's always the well upvoted guides too.
Yeah, there are some good, like, great guides too. It's just with RPG ones, when you're looking specifically for like speedrun content, they're obviously not gonna prioritize that.
Shout outs to the question from some. Oh, wait, hold on before I get to that. Ice cream time. So, when you buy the ice cream, 50 zenny, you do have a time limit to get back to Waza. However, this is the optimal time to do it because we're already at Spica Mall and we're on our way back to Waza anyway. So, this will unlock for us a Waza Waveliner pass, like I said, so we could actually take this like train thing directly to Waza, and we can take it from Waza as well. It literally, all of this like extra stuff we're doing saves itself back in time from the first trip because of how long of a trip it is. Like just look at how long it's taking us to get from Spica Mall specifically to Waza. That's how much effectively time we have to take pretty much every time we want to go to Waza normally. But anyway, shoutouts to the one question, GameFAQs, where someone asked, like, how do you dodge Stone Man's lasers in Battle Network 1?
Yeah.
Like, no one knew, because, like, you just delete Stone Man before he ever actually does the laser attack.
Don't you just move?
You also
the bottom row?
you actually just dodge. It's only down one row.
Yeah.
So anyway, we talk to Ace, teleports us right next to the lady, so we give her ice cream. Good old sugar sweet.
Gives you
This
Waveliner
cycle
and
is
1,000
awesome. We
zen.
literally carry this ice cream through space in order to deliver it to her before it melts.
It's incredible.
Wouldn't that keep
Gotta
it
get there
cool?
in 3 minutes. You'd
Probably.
think. It doesn't slow down the timer, unfortunately.
We also literally just had a meeting with all these officials while we just had the ice cream in our hand.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just like
holding it,
really important people like having a meeting about this evil organization dealer while we're just carrying ice cream in our hand
I mean,
for
in
this lady
fairness,
behind us.
That's not that different to Ace starting every conversation by scoffing down like 3 mega snacks.
True.
True.
This is true. But yeah, so this first trip, like immediately back, we have to take the Waveliner anyway, so like the animation doesn't matter. So like that entire trip immediately saves back the time. So overall, that extra little help request saves 30 seconds.
Deja vu.
You've been in this
Yes.
place before?
Let's just
Yeah,
ask
we've been in this
Ace.
place before, and also now he looks different.
He looks more terrifying, actually. Just super upgraded, more health, a little bit faster.
He also broke your tile. What the hell?
He's also undamageable.
Yeah, his fire attacks and his sword breaks tiles. Actually, I'm not sure about the fire attack.
So we just try to survive for a set amount of time then?
Yeah.
That is correct. That is a survival. You
Unlike
cannot
Jack Corpus,
die.
you can't speed this one up.
There are a lot of fights in Battle Network and Star Force where like they're forced losses. This is not one of them. If you die, it's a game over. You have to survive. It is like it's really funny because we've had people who like thought that they just could die to it before.
They were supposed to die in a race and then they died to it and they're like, oh no.
It is not one of those times where you can just die and be done with it. Which was actually, funnily enough, there was an example of that earlier. We just skipped over it because it was one of the few times where you can actually do damage to end the fight early.
We mentioned that.
The one with...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like...
I don't think we mentioned that we could... Oh, no, we did.
We did, because he did.
Yeah,
he did.
We
He
did,
did it. It's just really funny because it's like two kind of unique situations both pop up only in Star Force 3. Normally, those type of fights you just are either going to die to or you can technically time them out. Both
it's just funny
situations
because
work.
Can't you actually just lose to Corvus and it'll be fine? But if you lose to the later one, then it game overs you. It's like, why would you do this?
Yeah, it's really, really weird the way it works.
It's pretty evil.
So story-wise, what's going on now is a bunch of different wizards started going out of control. That's why we went to different places like Speak Mall. They also popped up in our school. And then they popped up in WBG Studios with a bunch of wizards going out of control, including Acid Ace. So now we're going to investigate to figure out exactly what was happening there. We are now Detective Geostellar. It's kind of what the whole gig... It's like... That's the joke that they're constantly making in the text.
Yeah, Omegasys like watched a TV show while waiting for Geo to wake up or whatever, and now he's convinced himself that he's a detective from the show. Like he wants to role play as a detective. And then instead of like Geo's trying to go along with it, the whole time he's just confused.
So what we have to do is we have to remember the locations of where wizards were going out of control. And at those locations, there is typically a noise wave that will have something in it that will allow us to progress the story. Basically, we're actually trying to acquire 4 codes. It's the noise wave code or something, or noise wave
Noise
key?
code.
Noise code. There we go. We need to acquire 4 of those because there are 4 locations and 4 wizards that we had to fix. And then, because there's the big happening at WBG Studios, once we have all those 4 things, we can go there to investigate further. So that's what we're doing right now. It's actually kind of interesting because the 4 places that you find these codes are all kind of unique in what you have to do for them. The first one is just a regular fight, but the second one is actually like you have to get a card for, specifically a cannon for whatever reason. So you have to trade that, which luckily we have one.
Do you remember we said cannon as our favorite at the start of the run? It's a very important card.
Yeah, it's actually, we have to trade our favorite, but like most of the time you wouldn't know that because like, I don't know if you can set your favorite card to something you don't have.
You can actually. You can enter, you can just enter a specific name. You can enter even like names that don't exist.
Huh.
You can. It literally lets you freely enter stuff.
But yeah, so that's what we had to do there is we had to trade that Malwizard a cannon. Then this third one is a very fun
the best one.
Quiz. Yeah.
I don't remember how I managed this.
So.
But one race I did get there without a cannon to give to him.
Sup. Sup.
Sup.
Sup.
Sup. Quiz noise.
Sup.
Sup.
Sup. Sup.
Sup.
How many times has he said it, chat?
That question is evil, by the way. Let me explain. He says, how many times have I said sup? If you include the sup from the question he just asked you, you get it wrong.
What?
Wow. Okay.
Oh my
I didn't
god.
know that.
Because he technically says it 8 times when saying how many times have I said sup, but you have to put 7 because you can't include that sup. So stupid. I'm mad.
I just spawned right next to him, Lies.
This is a really nice spawn where you can sometimes spawn right next to the guy. And I think that's the only way that you can get through this particular area without an encounter because of how far away the two are from the exit. But all you had to do was talk to him. Nothing fancy for that one, so.
Oh, we should probably also mention with that sup guy, if you fail any of the questions, you have to answer them all from the start.
Oh.
I mean, the questions are
They're really short and they're pretty
silly.
easy, yeah.
Like the first one's what's my favorite color, and it's a 1 and 2. You have no clue. Like, how are you supposed to know his favorite color is yellow? You just have to guess.
At least it's the first one.
Yeah, true. And then the second one is like, okay, you just have to remember which item did Sonya lose, whatever. And then it's the number question. So
How
you
does he
often
know that,
have
by
to
the
go
way?
back. What? Oh yeah, don't
He
ask.
knows
He's
what item
just
Sonya
spying on us.
This is what I lovingly like to refer to as ear noise. I had a really, really hard time finding this on my casual run. I inspected like everything in WBG Studios, but this. There was just nothing here. I saw the guy, but he had some like dialogue that pointed me somewhere else, I think. I don't remember.
His dialogue says there's something suspicious in front of me. And the idea is that he's a dog, so he kind of can tell that there's something going on. So the idea is you're supposed to okay, what is he looking at? This wall. Therefore, it must be where the noise wave is. It's weird. It's not the best clue. But it exists.
Malwizard 2.
Malwizard
If only
2.
it was 3.
Not Malwizard, very sad.
But anyway, so we acquired all 4 of the codes. That allows us to access Noisewave 2. And therefore, we can take Noisewave 2 to this secret base known as Secret Shelter, which has a giant card as the door because the whole theme of this has been kind of deck of cards things. The organization is known as Dealer. They've been using these noise cards that have, the ace card or the diamond card, or I guess I shouldn't say the ace card. It's the spade card, the diamond card, and the club card. That's why the bosses have been named Spade Magnus, Diamond Dice, Club Strong.
Yeah. Each game has a theme. First game themes, the bosses are aliens or beings.
Constellations is the main theme.
Constellations. That's right. The second one is myths and cryptids, and the third is cards.
Yep, that's why Ace's name is Ace. There is a character that we have seen off screen but hasn't shown up in the speedrun named Heartless.
Kingdom Hearts?
Close.
I thought the
close.
same thing, but no.
No, it's just a pink-haired woman. That's all Heartless is. Not a monster. Anyway, we have opened the door, and now we get one of the best themes in the game, Ghost Telepolice. We've heard this already earlier, but luckily it pops up yet again.
I forgot to mention how great the music is during the rogue team up section too.
Rivals Unite is really, really good.
The game's soundtrack is obscenely good.
Mm-hmm.
The whole series really.
Battle Network and Star Force have really good themes, but yeah, Star Force 3 is also up there.
The way Star Force also makes so many of its themes work around a lot of the music feels spacey and futuristic, while also sounding great. It's cool stuff.
Yeah, I keep going back and listening to the Astro Wave theme. It's so good.
So this area, basically, there's these distortions being caused by this giant machine in the middle. We have to enter these comps in order to fix the wave road that is broken by the distortions. And these comps are Crimson Machine comps. They, the theme or the gimmick here is there are these cards. We have to make every card face down. So they're just like puzzles. Most of them are pretty straightforward. If you step on a card, you flip it over. So if it's face down, it'll be face up afterwards. If it's face up, it'll go to face down. The early ones are especially easy. There's only 1 or 2 puzzles that are even remotely tricky. There is one in particular, really fun one, where it sometimes glitches out, and it's a straight path.
Oh no.
Where it's a straight path where all of the cards are supposed to be face up, but sometimes they just spawn all face down. And for whatever reason, it recognizes that they were supposed to all be face up because you step on them and they go from face down to face down.
Yeah, it's only visual, but it's really funny when it happens.
Yeah. It's totally all visual, but you're just like, oh no, I can't do this.
MC Power asked me in a while, what's the keyhole icon next to the health at the top left corner, which is a funny question actually, because they've run this game. But it's a cloaker. It's like Sneak Run from Battle Network Repel.
Greatly decreases our encounter rate, which is nice.
Yep. So we're using that to just get fewer encounters. Most of these areas we're probably going to get 1, sometimes 2 encounters in some of the longer ones. But yeah.
These comps are long enough that we need 2, and that's not even going to be quite enough, but it's going to last us pretty much all the way.
It lasts us enough to get through the final comp, usually, which is enough because the last little bit is usually there's no encounters checks. It's also really convenient because we always tell new runners or like even experienced runners that there's an item that you're supposed to grab, ideally, and it shows up like just after your first cloaker expires. So it's a really good indicator that like, hey, my cloaker expired. Guess what? Titan Glove is right over there. It's like literally right here.
Case in point.
Just so Titan Glove is another weapon that we can equip. It's a stronger weapon we can equip at the same time as we use another cloaker. And basically it just has a buster attack damage of 5, which is the max in the game, which is very strong. This is the time where I think it normally... No,
I wish you wouldn't have explained
it's
how in the way
it's
that
like
is, considering I missed it last race that we did.
You always miss it, fat kid. You were one of the experienced runners I was talking about when I mentioned that. You brought it up though. I didn't want to call you out.
I actually missed the experience runners part. That went completely over my head.
The rare moment where Rish doesn't want to call out fat kid.
And I do it myself by accident. Darn it. Yeah, I didn't catch the experience runners part, damn it.
Got him. So comp 3 actually has like some of the more complicated puzzles. This is the last comp of this with this gimmick. Mainly this puzzle is what I refer to when I talk about difficult ones. Even I forget how it's supposed to go most of the time. But like at the end of the day, just make it work eventually.
Hey, I'm pretty sure the first person that came up with like the fast way to do this was Gosit, which was unexpected.
Yeah, it was really funny because he like, I thought that I always had the fastest way, and he showed up one day and just like, no, you don't. I was like,
and he was
of all people, like, you're telling me I'm wrong, and he was right. I was so mind blown.
I kind of have my own way of doing it. It's like buttons on my brain now.
Yeah, as long as you
it's
get
definitely
it
not
without
the fastest
failing.
way, but yeah.
I was gonna say, at the end of the day, like,
is that
you're
the
losing
straight
a
line
second or two.
that sometimes?
Yeah, that's the one that
visual
sometimes
glitch can occur.
messes up. That's the one with the visual glitch every now and then. I don't know what causes it. It just happens. If I could make it happen every time, I would.
Yeah.
Like, are they face down but have the like sparkles over them still?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense, but it's just weird.
This is probably like the third hardest part of the run.
Yeah,
I'd
this
say
part's
third hardest.
pretty difficult because it's basically 2 bosses back to back, luckily with an HP refill in between.
This was also, I know I mention races a lot, but this was one of the funniest moments from any race when Chaotic got to this fight, and then like halfway through or something, he said, "You lose to this, right?"
Yeah. So he assumed that it was just like the first time that we fight this like version of Acid Ace. and that you just need to let him like live. You just need to last long enough, or you just like need to not. You don't. Or he thought that maybe you could die as well.
Yeah, he thought you were supposed to die to it, and he said, "You lose to this, right?" And then it was like, "No, you have to win." And just instant screaming,
instant panicking as he was like half health, and like the boss is still at full, and he's been doing nothing.
Tragedy.
But
he didn't
That was
believe
one of
us.
my
when
better
we said,
fights.
he didn't believe us either. We said, "No, you have to beat it." He's like, "Nah, you're messing with me."
Yeah, that was the funny part, is he thought everyone was messing with him until he died, and then he saw the game over screen. It's like, what? But yeah, so we get a nice HP refill after the fight, and then we go into Dread Joker, who is another relatively difficult boss. He has super armor, so he oftentimes like kind of ignores your attacks. A lot of really nice strategies involve like hitting enemies out of their attacks to actually just, you know, be able to chill through most fights. This guy can't do that.
His rockets also catch a lot of new players off guard
Oh,
because it's really strange to dodge, which you can kind of do with moving and shielding, but it's way easier to just actually fire the buster that you just got here at him.
Yeah. If you picked up Titan Glove, the rockets happen to have 5
Nice,
health. So if you just use Titan Glove, you can just fire the buster, and that's all you need to do to deal with the rockets. Even though it is a very slow moving thing. This is what happens normally when you get hit by the rockets.
Imagine
if you
if
don't
you
have
get hit-
super armor, you just get
Imagine
kind of
if you get hit by the very first rocket, you're just eating all of that in
Yeah.
a combo. It's great.
Yeah. So that was an instance where he was over 100% noise, so he was able to cancel the iframes. But overall, solid fight. Just got hit by a few things.
Even though he had noise, he still gets the fixed drops here, though. He gets,
Oh yeah,
like, the Zenny
V1s
or
and
the,
V2s have fixed drops for their cards.
Yeah.
Because
It's
there's
actually really nice.
Because they're one-time fights, they didn't want you to like miss something because you had the noise over 100%. So like they basically forced you to get these particular rewards. In this case, it was Zenny or the card if he got a high enough rank. But
There is an
is.
oddity though. As we have refights in this game, as in every Mega Man game, we're gonna refight like the main story bosses, and upon doing that, their ghosts actually disappear, so you can't easily get their V2 card anymore.
it's really odd. Normally
Star
in
Force
Battle
2
Network,
didn't do this. It's weird.
yeah, every Battle Network and Star Force game before this, they don't do it, but for whatever reason, like you have to fight the ghost form, which is the V2 hidden somewhere on the wave world or on the internet. So in Star Force 3 specifically, you have to do it before entering the end game, because if you delete the refight forced by the story, it doesn't give you a reward, and the ghost goes away, like he said. So
That's
Yeah,
messed
it's
up.
really weird.
it's really bad because like
It's
like
kind of annoying. But yeah, it's not something you permanently miss, at least. You can still get it. It's just more of an annoyance.
Yeah, the V2 you normally want to use to get the V2 mega card, but you can technically still get any of the mega cards from the third version of the fight. So you're not permanently missing out on anything.
By the way, story-wise, Dealer is in control of like a meteor with a laser on it. Is that what they had? Like something.
The whole plot of this behind the scenes is that there's a giant meteor that's been approaching the Earth. Not even the first time they've done this in a Battle Network or Star Force series.
Yeah.
But yes.
But this one's cooler, all right.
This is called Meteor G, and we've learned that it's a giant cluster of noise that's just been gathering in space. The theory is that it's like a giant rocket ship that went out to space, and it's just been like gravitating noise towards it or something, and formed this giant meteor or something.
Giant ship. I wonder.
Oh no, is this the rocket that we launched?
No,
No, actually.
That would be super funny.
not quite.
That would be ultimate irony.
But yeah, basically, like Fat Kid said, for some reason, this giant noise meteor can shoot laser beams of noise.
Yeah, there is a not stupid reason for it. I just forget what it is. And they fire the laser at Waza HQ and turn it all into a giant, like, noise wave, essentially.
It's called, like, jamming is what it does, which the idea is it's supposed to, like, completely encapsulate a place in noise and completely destroy it. Though, for plot reasons, it doesn't completely destroy it. Instead, it forces things to spawn a bunch of noise waves that you can, like, basically, Omegasys attacks the jamming, spawns noise waves. We can go search for the people who are stuck in the jamming.
You get there, and then it's just a big barrier that you can't see, and he's like, I'm gonna go buck wild, and he just starts punching the wall until he opens hole.
Yeah. Just slashing at it like a man. Yeah. This is another unskippable cutscene. We didn't talk about what just happened at the end of the last scenario. After we beat Dread Joker, he's a wizard, Joker, so he's asked to self-destruct in order to take us all down with him while the main leader escapes. Instead, our friend Ace,
who used to work with Vila.
He like is part of his wizard is kind of like made from the same thing as Joker is, so they share kind of like this weird bond, and he literally held hands with Joker and absorbed the blast.
Well, not in a friendly way.
It was not a friendly way at all. But he completely absorbed the blast so that we were able to escape. And theoretically, Ace died and sent us an email post-death to give us a
he had
gift card.
he had an automated message set up in case something bad happened to him.
Yes.
We also didn't really mention the Dark Phantom also kind of died.
Yeah.
You know, he does just kind of disappear. You're not wrong.
Well, he jumps off of the wall into the abyss.
The funniest way imaginable.
He just backs off the wave road in disbelief. It's like, I lost. This isn't part of the script.
This isn't part of the script, and then he just slowly walks off the edge.
But yeah, so unfortunately, Ace is dead and gave us a new Giga card, which we will add to our folder.
Which in this version is it's probably like the only good side to this version, I guess, because there's not that many differences. But this Giga card is stupid.
It's so much better. It's so much better than the only benefit of the other one is that it's multi-hit. Other than that, it's awful comparatively.
Technically, this one's multi-hit too. You just have to input the machine gun code.
Yeah, but it doesn't get as buffed by attack plus 10. Like, this one does 450 damage, which is normally more than Red Joker's form, or Giga. Also, one thing to note, there are 3 noise waves. It's not random where the NPCs you need to save are. They're actually in set locations in set noise waves. So, like, that was a really good spawn, a random spawn for Time Link, but he was always going to have to go right there in that noise wave to find Bell and the other one for, I forget his name.
Lee.
I almost wanted to say Leo for some reason.
Red Joker pisses in Viz too. So does Ace. But only his sword pierces.
Oh, well. Actually, this is probably faster.
But yeah. Technically speaking, because you have a bunch of fire cards, the support card for fire elemental cards is attack plus 10. So if you pick the Red Joker's Giga with like a fire card on support or just any other attack plus 10s, you can make it do 140 extra damage per attack plus 10 or so.
That's a lot.
It's a bit better with attack plus 10s than Wingblade, which is Black Aces.
Doesn't Wingblade get an extra 120 damage if you input the like button combination there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is a command input that lets you like just do that much damage for free.
Yeah, there's 2 command inputs. One is a sword slash, and like you hit the card and you do LLR, or I forget the other code.
The other one's just RRL.
RRL, okay. One is a sword slash, which pierces invis and does slightly less damage, and the other one is a machine gun.
I think it's actually the opposite. The sword breaks. The other one is like a stealth laser attack that pierces invis, but it also does more damage. Funnily enough. And
This is the most important NPC in the entire video game.
Yes.
I didn't even want to talk about this guy. I'll be honest with you.
He's got the moves, dude. This is literally chaotic.
I make this joke every time. This is the most important boss fight in the entire game series. He just shows up here for no reason. I don't know why he's forced.
He loves dancing. By the way, his name is Moon Destroyer. He has like final boss-esque name.
Yeah.
And he's just here dancing.
He's literally putting on a concert in the middle of this like astro wave that is preventing us from going to like the evil organization's other secret base.
Yo.
And he like just stands here and we just have to fight him because he wants us to fight him.
And then for fighting him, we get to move past the gate that he had locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can actually do this earlier in the game, I think, but it's required now.
Yeah. It opens up a little earlier.
Yep.
He feels like he's in kind of an awkward position. The reason he's here is because he's actually he's a fan design. He was a contest winner, and I feel like he would have been more fit for the post game, but they just kind of stuffed him here and had him block the International Astro Wave 2 so that you have to fight him in the main game.
I think the
reasons
theory
that I'm unsure of.
I think the theory is that he was going to play more of like an prominent role in the story, despite being a fan contest winner.
I don't think there's any evidence for this theory other than the fact that he's called Moon Destroyer, and it's like, well, yeah, it's probably pretty important name.
Yeah, it's that, and like the fact that he also has a very super secret like extra form that only the post-game bosses have. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay,
Like,
yeah.
there's a Moon Destroyer Sigma, which there's only 3 other Sigma bosses, which are the final boss, and 2 post-game specific bosses. So like, it's like a theory that no one actually knows is true. It's probably not even true. He just exists and is forced for the story for no reason.
Interesting.
He's just vibing. He wants you to listen to his 10-hour concert, which you can do the 100% category and just above that as of right now. So don't do it.
So anyway, we are starting the refights. Yep. First off with Spade Magnus, who we now have wood element attacks to do double damage to, and then also more fire cards. So he just kind of gets bullied.
Yeah.
By the way, I think now's a decent time to say it again, because somebody asked, would you mind explaining Kaizo Gear again? Or...
Yeah. So Kaizo Gear is a Japanese exclusive mechanic that we banned specifically so that it's easier to compare runs for the US version. If you are familiar with Star Force 2, which we actually showcased on Thursday last week on Never Before Seen, it is very equivalent to Wave command codes, but on a lesser scale. It gives you access to certain like abilities that you can get in other places. I know one of the key things that you get with it is something like Wood Aura, to basically just have a barrier at all times. You can also use it to get like other valuable effects, I think like bonus HP and stuff. And there is a feature of it known as like Transformation Archives, which kind of lets you overwrite your noise form. You're like, you could literally force yourself to be Taurus Noise, no matter what form you actually
From the
got.
start of the game, too. Right?
Yeah, it's like really early. So you can force that and get...
What a polling shot.
You're kind of forced into a
love polling
particular
shots.
folder that's like themed with that transformation. So like, for example, you would transform into Taurus, but you're forced into the set folder that you can't change.
I don't think I'm gonna fight this one out. What the hell?
Oh, Omega, yeah.
Did you get another Omega boss?
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
But
Very rare to get to in a run.
Yeah, I don't think I got any in my like last couple of runs.
I oftentimes get to. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why. It's just like, it's always usually at least one, and then oftentimes 2.
I got none in my 100% run. Somehow.
It does happen.
Also,
Is that
think
Rish
Sony-
being unlucky or Time Link being lucky?
Probably me being a little unlucky, but it's also kind of lucky because it's not like it negatively impacts me in any way.
Plus, if you get the early warning, it actually might help.
Oh wait.
into another get into another
about to
area
ask.
without encounter.
So we just did a quick extra shopping trip to buy a few more cloakers. This way, Time Link was able to make use of cloakers in a few extra places that you otherwise wouldn't be able to with the typical 9 strat. It's a preference, really. It doesn't make a huge difference either way, but this is a very easy and safe strat. Technically, the best strat is always just get lucky.
I could have
but-
bought the energies right there, which is like a full on-demand heal. I only have one as of right now that I'm gonna have to somehow work with, but I believe.
I mean, for the most part, the end game is relatively safe, but it can be. There's a lot of fights that can be really tricky. Also, that cutscene showed a really big meteor in the top screen. That's meteor G. It's really close.
Oh, this is when it's about to land on Earth and everyone's panicking, right?
Yeah, so basically we went and stopped Dealer from having control of...
Sorry, I just want to say that old man. Just want to grill.
They
What a
just
legend.
want to. They just want to, have some tasty food. So we did
What a
that so
legend.
that Dealer can't control the meteor anymore. Is what you're saying?
Yes. So Dealer can no longer control Meteor G, but what's their face? Jack and Tia, or Virgo, broke out of jail and are now they basically set Meteor G to crash into Earth because they want to basically have a fresh start on society. They want society to be built up from the ground up because they're children that were born in like a really poor, war-torn country, right? And they think that
essentially.
yeah, they think that if society could be rebuilt, that it would be better. So basically, we have to now go stop Meteor G from crashing into Earth by taking this giant wave station that will teleport us to a rocket. The rocket that we put in space earlier with the help of our
Oh my
school.
god.
The reason that it has to be this specific rocket is because of the initial incident with Spade Magnus. It like
Yeah,
gave
it made it resistant to noise
yeah, so it can get closer to Meteor G than any other rocket.
because of Spade Magnus being taken over.
So that's why we use that to get close to the meteor, and then we can jump into Meteor G from there. First, this is a noise wave that's like just close to it that lets us access Meteor G. So that's basically what it is. And now, for some reason, this noise wave is directly connected to the wave station, so we don't have to use the rocket anymore. Don't worry, plot convenience. But
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's just gameplay convenience. So I'm glad
That's just
they
so you
did
can
it,
go
but it
home,
is,
probably, right?
yeah.
Because you need to come back manually for the post game.
So we are about to get into the final comps of the game.
These comps have extremely good music.
I do
Oh,
like
yeah.
I do like the vibes of this area.
Just wait till the final boss music.
So this is Meteor Server. Basically, we have to go and gather the Splinters of Kelvin. If you don't know who Kelvin is Geo's father, who supposedly has been fighting Meteor G all along.
He went, in just give the quick outline. In Star Force 1, Geo's depressed and slightly traumatized because his dad went missing 3 years ago before the game started. And he had to grow up without, a father. And he's been here the whole time, as it turns out.
Basically, he ran into a situation with aliens like Omegasys. They attacked his ship, but Omegasys turned him into EM waves. He was on his way back to Earth, but got lost, and instead found Meteor G and realized it was on a course for Earth. So he's trying to stop it from hitting Earth. So, anyway, what we have to do is we have to gather the Splinters of Kelvin, which forms like a memory that we actually get to see. It's like one of Kelvin's core memories or something. and the like formation of that causes these doors to disappear for whatever reason.
Yeah, so
the doors that
Kelvin,
are blocking our path.
Kelvin left behind these splinters somehow. I forget the reason, but it's basically memories of his life before and slightly after Geo was born. So it has like Geo, their reaction to Geo being delivered and stuff.
Yep, just like cute little like flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, and Geo's like finds out stuff that obviously he was too young to remember or know about.
So these splinters are in set locations that we don't know about. If we tap the little like Kelvin icon on the bottom screen, it will show us where they are so we can get a vague sense. But we have to go and find it ourselves. Every so often, these waves of crimson happen. This is basically just the mashing minigame all over again. You just have to mash AB for a short period of time to hit the crimson. If the crimson runs into you, you get into a very powerful fight that can sometimes be kind of dangerous, and overall just loses you a ton of time.
Casually, outside of the story stuff, this is probably the worst comp in the game, to be honest. This is pretty annoying casually.
It's just like forcing you to go to all corners of the map for like very little gain.
Yeah,
with a ton of encounters in between.
And if you get hit by one of these clusters, which is really easy when you're like just playing normally and you don't know what's happening, it's a really annoying thing. So you keep just getting bombarded with encounters that have a lot of HP. The story stuff's cool though.
Yep. So we've gathered all of the splinters in the first area, which unlocks the door that lets us proceed to the second area. But as is Mega Man tradition, it's a boss refight time at the end of every area. So
I think the only all Star Force had refights, and I think the only Battle Network that didn't was one for some reason.
Yeah, no idea why. So we bring the splinters here. This forms the memory. We can just skip the cutscene though, it's not a super important thing. And so now for Diamond Ice Part 2. As with Spade Magnus, all of these bosses are upgraded to V2, so they hit harder, more health, and move a bit faster. Most of them are still pretty easy. One of the last two is kind of challenging.
Unless you're Strawberry, Virgo's not hard at all. Corvus is pretty hard. Yeah, Corvus I'd say is the hardest here, but he's still not as bad as, say, like the double Noise Wizard fight or even, the back-to-back Joker and Acid Ace.
Yeah, this, it's really funny because Cancer's transformation when he's over 50% turns him red. I like instinctively thought that he was Taurus, and I was like, oh my god, if you get hit here, you're gonna lose your transformation.
No, he's just a crab.
It's just a good old crab.
Everything evolves into crab eventually.
So yeah, we're on to area 2. This area has 4 splinters that we have to grab. 2 of them on this side and 2 of them on the other side, so.
That was the power of Wingblade, by the way. It's pretty hefty at a 610 if you, for single target if you get the Vulcan command code.
Yeah, so good. It's like the best Giga Chip in the series, probably.
Yeah?
I'm partial to Obstacle.
Oh.
I should say it's the most versatile, not the best.
Yeah, it's definitely very versatile. So, luckily, you didn't have to see much of it, but we just ran into an enemy that is called...
His L button works, don't worry, Jim.
That enemy is called Gravity, because pun. They are just the black hole viruses, and they can only be damaged by sword attacks. We do have a few in our folder, but they don't do enough damage to delete those gravity enemies, unfortunately. So usually, unless we have a good enough draw, you'll oftentimes see Timeling try to run away from the fight.
It's not guaranteed to run first try.
He has like a 40% chance to run away first try and second try. The third try is guaranteed though, so that's why you'll see him try and run away.
Wingblade.
The nice thing about Wingblade is the sword command code can be used on Gravity, so you can just get the Gravity in the correct position, use the sword command code, and just wipe out the encounter still.
just one more area to go after this, right?
It's got one more splinter to pick up over here. There is an annoying situation that sometimes pops up like this, where
you can't pick up the splinters while you are in this little mini game you're destroying the noise clusters because your A and B buttons is Omega Assist, so you can't pick it up.
Oh, that's annoying.
So a lot of the routing for this is trying to optimally time your getting to the Kelvin splinters so that you don't have to wait for the mini game.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
nice
Bushido, by the way. That's what happens if you draw 3 Bushidos.
Yep,
Yeah.
3 Bushidos buffs it to a life sword range, and they all buff each other by 50 damage each. So it's like, 100 damage put onto all 3 Bushidos, so they're dealing like 200-ish damage each.
It's worth taking this one because they have sword element. Well, not element, but attribute.
Shuriken counts as a sword. Good to know.
Yep.
I figured it might, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, it does. It's grass and sword. It's really nice because it gets boosted by rogue noise as well.
Yeah, because sword attribute.
So, now it's time for Club Strong Part 2. He's still not sketchy in any way. He's just, it can be annoying when you don't draw
really
fire.
annoying draw, though. This draw sucks.
So that's what happens. Like we mentioned right at the beginning of the run, Giga cards do have the largest. They show up larger on the custom screen, which causes them to overlap more often, which is why it's overlapping with a mega card that's also bigger than standard cards. But currently, Time Link's trying to get him to land on a grass panel. Perfect. So that the Jack Corvus does 300 times 3, because grass enemy on grass panel. 900
damage. I wouldn't have even tried for that if it was me, because I knew I'd press A when he's in the back grass row and just miss.
Yeah. You can area eater with Jack Corvus, that's a decent strat, but there was nothing I could area eater with. Because shockingly, I could have actually used Wingblade as area eater technically if it was covered up, but shockingly it wasn't.
It was the opposite. Wingblade was on top of the Jack Corvus, so not only could he not support use Wingblade, but Jack Corvus could only be single used. Nothing else could be taken with Jack Corvus if he wanted to use it as Jack Corvus.
Mm-hmm.
What did Rogue Noise do again? It gave you a barrier that takes 1 hit per turn. It buffed swords by 50. And was that it?
When you're in Vibrant Noise, so over 50%, your Buster attack damage, your charge shot, does double. So if you have a 5 damage Buster, your charge shot will hit for 100. And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Other than, the requirement, which is just have no real life friends.
Yeah.
As in real life friends on the DS, you can have a social life, it's fine.
You are allowed to interact with others and still be Rogue Noise, which is not in the game. There's a run. So that's unfortunate. It hit the heel of his foot, which is odd because those particular enemies, or the Crimson, I should say, have a really weird hitbox on the stairs usually because of the Z-axis of the game.
No, Rogue Noise is definitely good. It's the best noise. You want it in a 100% run. It's definitely the best place for a speedrun.
Okay.
See, this is why this area is not fun casual.
I also think that a lot of people really found that Rogue Noise was very strong in PvP as well. I remember hearing a lot of people complain about Rogue Noise abusers in PvP.
Wait.
But yeah,
he lost his
I think
tail.
the best in PvP
Hell, I've never
is
seen that.
Rogue Noise and Taurus, and that's pretty much your only options unless you want to do Gemini chain stun, which doesn't work very well. I'm not an expert, though. Ask somebody that actually plays PvP.
There's some pretty wacky stuff you can do with multi-noising, which is a thing we never tackled because it's impossible in single player.
Yeah, it happens in Star Force too, but just to give a quick rundown, if you have a real-life brother on your DS, you can multi-noise to get the combined effects of 2 noises when you go vibrant noise, which is neat, but completely inaccessible to pretty much everyone now.
Yep, it's impossible especially in an any percent capacity.
On my casual save, I do have wolf noise with a Gemini brother, which is really good.
Oh, what are we gonna get?
Oh my god! This is really
EXE.
funny because I also got this specific card in my 100% run on Wednesday, and it actually helped me a good amount, but I'm not gonna put it in.
Just to quickly note, when you get all of the Kelvin splinters, the Crimson Waves do stop. So usually you want to make sure that you grab all of the Kelvin splinters before a wave starts. It's really nice. But yeah, Black Hole is a card that will normally just delete any enemies below a certain HP threshold. The threshold is higher per rank of Black Hole, but it's not very useful at this point because we're not going to get another virus fight. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Mega Quint said, I actually forgot to mention that you can multi-noise from opponents that you fought in PvP before.
Also, you just noticed Time Link changed his white cards because we no longer really care too much about the fire card synergy, and instead we want to get our noise up as much as possible. So I believe he switched to, if I had to guess, the Bushido one.
Yeah,
so we now have
no,
4
it's
extra.
the sword one.
Oh, just the generic sword one. So we have like 3 null element sword cards now from white cards, as well as an extra Acid Ace V3. All of which just do a ton of single target damage. Including Sword Fighter 3, which is a multi-hitting sword attack. It's like 200, 300 damage.
What? Huh?
There was an object spawning from Jack Corvus on the panel you tried to go to, unfortunately.
Well, okay, I guess let's see what's inside. Ooh.
So this is finalizing. If you're over 200% and you go into the custom screen, you can finalize into this form, which is version
Oh,
specific.
spoilers! You're not supposed to use this yet.
But this is usually very effective in the late game when enemies have a ton of HP and your folder just isn't that strong. So that's why we like the null element stuff.
Oh, wow! This drawer has Black End Galaxy in it.
I was wondering if he was going to use it.
I would have.
But
Nice.
basically, these forms have maxed out Buster stats, 5 attack, rapid, and charge. And also, when you lock onto an enemy, it doubles the damage of that card, which is insanely strong. That is why going into that form is so good on usually Jack Corvus V2 and the final boss are the only 2 times you'll ever see it.
It has auto lock, which is both really good and really annoying.
On Jack Corvus specifically, it's annoying because when Jack Corvus is locked onto, he tries to flee, which is really annoying.
That the auto lock is specific to Black Ace's finalized form. It also has float shoes / air shoes, so it lets you stand on top of holes and not be affected by panels effects. And it also has fast gauge, which lets you see your new cards quicker.
It sounds really strong. They just shoved a bunch of stuff on it, but I think that's just because they were trying to balance it against Red Joker's Super Armor.
Yeah, Super Armor's a little busted.
Yeah.
Nice one. Yeah, Red Joker really only gets Super Armor, but Black Ace gets a ton of things to balance it out. Which I actually prefer Black Ace for that. Actually, this is fast, I think.
Red Joker's a cooler looking finalized. Boo!
Not against Queen Virgo.
They don't look cooler. Black Ace looks cooler.
Way to shame someone for their opinion, fat kid.
Boo!
But anyway, that is the final refight, and now we're on to the final boss. Just to believe we're going to do a quick folder edit to take out some things that are just really bad and don't even affect the final boss for whatever silly reason. And add just literally anything relatively useful.
This boss you can still die to kind of easily, but it's not actually that difficult. It's kind of easy for a final boss, at least in speedrun.
This is why
So
we
it
usually
should
grab
be
a D energy for safety, is because we usually take damage throughout the refights, and we just use it at the end before the final boss for safety. Funny little save, because guess what? You're gonna be forced to save again.
That's right.
Yeah.
The game forces you to
Or
save.
save.
The game forces you to save because of like fun glitches that have
Yeah.
happened as a result of not forcing you to save before the final boss. Throughout the
yeah.
Battle
You need
Network and Star
You need
Force
to save
series.
for
They learned their
post-game
lesson.
anyway.
Yeah, it's like you need a save for post game anyway, but like sometimes you could go through the entire game, not save at all from like the beginning of the game, and really fun stuff happens.
We mentioned Black Ace gets quick gauge. Gets quick gauge, air shoes, float shoes, and increased lock-on damage. I guess they both do.
They both get increased lock-on damage.
Auto lock.
But
Yeah,
he gets
auto
it's
auto-
just Black
gets
Ace
auto
also
lock.
gets auto lock, which makes it nice.
So this is your dad. He's been fighting this core of the
Look at him, he's built
Meteor
like
G.
a truck. Look at those shoulders.
He's been fighting the core of Meteor G for literally years, and then King shows up out of nowhere, and like whatever.
He was absorbed into
Yeah.
like the Crimson
He-
earlier.
Yeah, he gets like taken into the noise earlier for some reason, and somehow ends up on Meteor G, and now is going to fuse with the core and become dun 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 Crimson Dragon, the final boss.
The Crimson Dragon.
So he also absorbs Kelvin, becomes even stronger. Yeah, I don't. It's just like text to make you a bit emotional, because it's like, oh, I finally found my dad.
Yeah, I
and now
finally
he's
found you. Oh
gone
god
again.
damn it.
Get all
Yo
of your
can't
dance
have
and jam
anything.
and whatever emotes, by the way.
Yeah,
Get all of them
this
ready.
music.
Because this music is just straight up
incredibly good.
awesome.
It's time. Also, please don't skip the cutscene before the like anime fight, if you know what I mean.
I know.
It's a really good animation.
It is really good.
Alright.
All right, final boss, Crimson Dragon.
Crimson Dragon
Drag
was that's fun.
Dragon. He has a head first that you have to shoot. It will, once it takes enough damage, split into two heads, but it will also expose the core. You can destroy the other heads as well, but it's not important. You just want to get as much damage into the core before it starts again. Usually what you want to do is get 200% noise, just like this.
Ridiculous draw.
That's insane.
I want to get
By the
200%
way, I'm not
noise
sure we
just to
mentioned-
finalize
Yeah, by the way,
as possible.
The folders are different between the versions, and Black Ace has Bushido in the finalized draw.
I don't think we mentioned, but based on how much noise you get a different tier of folder when you find one.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Yep. But yeah, normally the strat is to finalize as quickly as possible, because the double damage from lock-on and the folder overall just has insane amounts of damage you can possibly get. So like, we literally 3-turned this fight.
What the heck?
Yeah?
What
That was a
fun.
very
just-
good fight.
We just
Yeah.
saw a bunch of cards that like you've never seen before, because there's no time to explain all of them.
There's so many
Yeah.
of them.
Finalizing gives you a preset folder, which changes depending on version and also how much noise you have. Like, in higher versions, you even get, like, Bushido X. You get Sword Fighter X. The Black Ace finalized folder I actually find is really good.
Both of them also get access to a lot of the noise force big bangs that you normally only get through counter hits. This is also a classic. The final boss is going out of control and overpowers you because, you know, you're out of energy, etc., etc. We now have a quick cutscene where we see dead people, literally.
Yeah, they give you encouragement.
You can skip these if you don't really care, but there's this one in particular is where Ace shows up. It says, "You think I'm dead?"
Well, you're right, but get up anyway.
But yeah, so this is just basically a quick pep talk from Ace, basically telling you you can't give up now.
This is when Geo acquires his persona.
Yes. So, obviously now, due to the power of friendship, he stands up and goes anime.
Oh, we getting a Dragon Ball Z power-up moment?
Yeah.
So basically, he just finalizes and quick little look over the shoulder. Oh wait, first the pan. Just looks over the shoulder at the final boss and then goes into
that
this
caught me
fight.
so off guard on my first playthrough.
It's like, it's so minor, but it's so cool. So this is a refight that is actually scripted. I would joke about like, oh no, you didn't take any cards.
It's
100%
scripted, but there is actually a way to speed it up.
It's really
hard
difficult to speed it up. You need to expose the core. Ideally, get a counter hit. It's harder to do in Black Ace because of quick gauge. But no matter what you do, you need the core exposed so you can get this specific card for the anime finish. Time is coming up, by the way. Very short.
Oh yeah. And time.
But yeah, so you need to, on the third turn, you need to have taken one chip that will allow that final like noise force big bang normally that you get from the finalized form to be drawn into your slot, because it doesn't do damage. It just instantly deletes the boss no matter what.
Okay.
But since counter hits give you the noise force big bangs, you can counter hit it to grab it. It's just really hard.
Yeah, it's really difficult to get a counter hit, especially with fast gauge because of Black Ace. But also to note that you can't win the fight without the anime finish. You can get him down to 1 HP and he will not die unless you use that specific card or Red Joker's equivalent on him. But that is Star Force 3. Very nice runtime, Link.
Thank you. I would love to watch all these ending cutscenes, I'm gonna be honest, but I think they're all really long and there's a lot of them, so
they're pretty good.
I think we're just gonna cut to the
Overall,
credits.
it's basically just a bunch of people like Geo stuck in space because he destroyed Meteor G and doesn't have a way back because he literally destroyed the thing he was on. And
Kelvin.
Kelvin shows
Kelvin
up.
gets in like Kelvin uses something I forget to get in touch with everyone. He's like, as a father, please get my son home.
Yeah, so they all like use the power of friendship to like send this like wave out to space that signals where Earth is, and Omegasys and Kelvin use their power to stay where they are but send Geo home alone. And now they're both trapped. They're like stuck in
There's the
space.
Moon Destroyer design.
Yeah. It is worth mentioning, for some reason, sometimes you just don't get credits music in this game.
Really?
It's not like an emulator thingy, but it's happened on both console and emulator.
Yeah, it happens. It just happens randomly sometimes. We
It's
don't know what
a
happens.
It's a music glitch specifically. It doesn't it has happened in other areas. It's just most common with the credits, and most annoying because you get through the whole run. You're just like, I get to relax, and then you get silence through the credits.
And you're just
It's
like,
the worst, especially
my
in the marathon
victory
run. I was
music.
really hoping it wouldn't happen, and I'm glad it didn't.
I believe it's something to do with mashing a button at the same time. It tries to trigger the music, but that's just my personal theory.
Who knows? Anyway, that is Megaman Start Force 3. Pretty decent run all in all, I think. What was the final time? We did watch a few
was a,
cutscenes here and there.
252.42 with all the extra
Not bad,
nonsense
not
we
bad.
did.
With the breaks and all of the extra watch. Well, the breaks aren't included in that time, but like also the watched cutscenes as well.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's okay. I think it was a decent
The
showcase.
cutscenes were worth it.
yes.
Yeah,
You-
definitely.
You beat my PB by 5 minutes.
I feel like there's a fine
Wow.
tradition of having Fat Kid on commentary, and then he beat his PB while doing extra stuff.
Thank you,
Yep.
Fat Kid.
It's required.
I appreciate it.
Any shout-outs before we wrap things up?
Well, I mean, I guess there's probably every BNSF runner has said this, but shoutouts to Team BN. That's like the central community for Battle Network and Star Force speedrun specifically. Before this, I had mostly speedrun the Megaman platformers. I now have like a decent PB in pretty much all the games there that I care about. And yeah, I moved on to the RPGs, and there's a lot of really nice resources out there. Especially, I do want to shout out Rush's Notes tool because literally right now on my second monitor, I have the any percent route to Star Force 3 up that I use for this entire run. I'm not capable of memorizing an entire route like that, especially for a 3-hour run. Like, the runs may be a bit less approachable than the 40-minute platformers because these runs are like 2 to 3 hours on average, but honestly, like, if you enjoy these games, there's good resources out there, and yeah, it's really easy to get into, honestly. I would recommend it.
Huge shoutouts to Team BN. I will also do the shoutouts for the people who are bad at shouting themselves out. Timelink, you should go follow him on Twitch, twitch.tv/Timelink. He's been doing a lot of really cool stuff, including 100% run of this very recently, and has a lot of other stuff planned in the future. Twitch.tv/LilFatKid, my co-commentator. He's really funny. It's Lil, Lil_FatKid. He has some really fun streams every now and then. Really fun guy to watch.
Maybe don't expect Star Force for a while.
Oh yeah, don't expect anything specific. Usually more Persona guy, I will say. And don't worry about me. Twitch.tv/Rish if you actually care. RASCH, but you know.
Yeah, he has a lot of the world records in these games. He's pretty good. No, it's kind of a big deal.
No.
Big pancake enjoyer.
I am a big. I will say that. I can't lie about that. I'm a big pancake enjoyer.
All right, thanks
you,
everybody for coming on. I also want to, as I've done for each of these shows, give a shout out to Tara. Big member of the Battle Network community, helped with organizing these Mega May shows a lot. So thanks, Tara, if you're watching or if you hear this later. Your help was very much appreciated. But we're going to wrap things up there tonight. If you tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have more hotfix going on, more speedrunning content throughout the entire week. And of course, we'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, as Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. But we're going to go to a break while we look for somebody to raid. So if you want to stick around, you want to keep watching some speedrunning or speedrunning adjacent content, we'll send you in the direction of somebody who's trying to go fast, and you can cheer them on.